Willy and DMase 1025 1063 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vinganen again. It's like a national holiday across the country. The kickoff of the NFL regular season. Tonight, Ravens at Chiefs, rematch of the AFC Championship game. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, we do have to work today. I feel like it should be a national holiday.
It should be.
Labor Day, Memorial Day.
Just take it right on into the
Independence Day.
Yeah.
First day of the NFL season.
Well, no, I thought you were working up to you take Labor Day on Monday. So just go ahead and take Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
I hadn't thought of that. That's a great idea. And then why come in
Friday at that point?
That's a great idea. Earlier this summer, Joe Burrow was on, I think, the Pardon My Take podcast, and he talked about extending the season so that the Super Bowl would be on the Sunday before, I believe it would be President's Day. So it would be Super Bowl Sunday, and then most people would have the day off on Monday. And I said, I'm here for that.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely here, because one of the worst feelings is it's Super Bowl Sunday. You've had a lot to eat, too many nachos, too many buffalo wings, maybe one or too many beers. And the next day you wake up and realize, oh, crap, I got to go to work today. And you feel like garbage. I absolutely believe the day after Super Bowl Sunday should be a national holiday, as should today, with the Ravens and the Chiefs kicking off the NFL regular season. We'll get into that. We'll get into plenty of the Titans matchup against the Chicago Bears throughout the show. We'll make our NFL season predictions in the third hour. In the second hour, we have silly underdog picks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Chris Sanders will be measured.
I'm sure Chris Sanders was up and at him this morning. Like, oh, today is the day.
Can we forget his number?
I'm sure he won't be boastful at all.
Oh, no, not at all. That's not Chris.
No, not at all. For those who missed it, Chris picked Vanderbilt to defeat.
Stole my pick.
He picked Vanderbilt to defeat Virginia Tech, stealing Derek's pick. And I also stole Derek's second pick. How did the Presbyterian Blue Hose do, by the way, against Mercer?
Well, their holes are no longer blue. I tell you that.
They're brown.
I don't know what they are, because they got beat down.
I believe it was 63-10 was the final score of the Mercer Presbyterian football game that Derek made.
It became a running clock after that.
Adam's in his first go round. This was his first participation, and he was the first to text the panel the final score of the Presbyterian. Yeah. So he's fit right in the text chain trash talk of silly underdog.
I heard they decided to do a running clock after a while of the Presbyterian game. They just said, let the clock go.
Is that the rule at Mercer? Like,
yes.
It's the Mercy rule, the Mercer Mercy rule.
Yeah, let the clock run. Don't worry about it.
Just keep
no commercials. No commercials at all. Let's go.
But
remember, let's get the plane started.
We do have a spot for the people. So a listener will have an opportunity to pick for the people and win a prize if you do make a correct selection. So we will solicit that in the second hour. Our participant last week, Matt, picked North Dakota State to defeat Colorado.
At halftime, it looked good.
That did not. Yes, North Dakota State winning at halftime, but Colorado won. And if I'm not mistaken, TSU playing North Dakota State this weekend.
Yes, they got North Dakota State today. This weekend. This will be a good one. It'll be a good one.
That'll be an interesting matchup in beautiful Fargo, North Dakota.
Has anybody been in Fargo?
I've watched the show and the movie.
I've watched the show.
You watched the show and the movie, Willie?
I've watched the movie many times. I've never watched the show. Is the show good?
I mean, my parents tell me it's good, and they usually have pretty good taste in television.
Okay,
so
because
I've seen some of it.
Philosophically, when there's a great movie and they try to make a TV show out of it,
never really works.
Usually it doesn't work real well, and I'm usually not going, oh, yeah, we got to see the TV, because I've been disappointed greatly. Like, The Bad News Bears, one of my favorite movies. They tried to make a TV show out of that. It was just not good. You know they tried to do a TV show about Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
I had absolutely no idea.
They tried it. Well, the reason you don't remember is because
Matthew.
No, that's the problem.
Okay.
They can never get the people to do the TV show.
This might be embarrassing to some people. It's not to me. The first thing that I thought about when you said that, Willie, was Clueless. Clueless is one of my favorite movies. It's one of my guilty pleasure movies. They created a television show. And I always felt bad because you knew where the actors in the movie stood in Hollywood, because when the actors who were in the movie were also in the TV show, like Alicia Silverstone was not in the Clueless television show because she was too big of a star. But Stacey Dash was in the television show at the time.
She had to be.
At the time, Donald Faison was in the television show because this was pre-Scrubs for Donald Faison. So he was in the show. And I was like, well, this is where clearly they haven't made it in Hollywood just yet, because they have to be on the Clueless TV show and not just Clueless the movie. But
the only thing I remember about Fargo the movie, I've seen it, but the only thing I remember is when they were putting the body parts in
the wood chipper.
Yeah, the wood chipper. I don't know why I remember that of all things. I remember that about the movie.
And you had Marge came up. Yes, I see that's your buddy there in the wood chipper.
It was a serious but funny movie.
Exactly, the dark humor.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
As Lenny mentions on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, stay away from the wood chippers in Fargo.
Yes, please do.
Eddie George, if you're listening, do not walk by any wood chippers.
No, keep your team away from those.
Keep your team away from the wood chippers. So, how are you guys feeling about this first matchup? Ravens at Chiefs, a rematch of the AFC Championship game won last season by the Chiefs. If I recall correctly, the score was 17-10. There, of course, is the element now with Derrick Henry as a member of the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm interested in seeing that. Patrick Mahomes, by the way, in season openers in the Super Bowl era, well, he's already been in. I mean, he has the highest rate. He has the highest passer rating among quarterbacks in season openers in the Super Bowl era, with a minimum of 5 starts. He has a passer rating of 125.6, 20 touchdowns and one interception, and 6 career week 1 starts. So Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't lose a lot in general. He doesn't lose a lot in week 1, though he did lose in week 1 last year against the Detroit Lions.
One thing I'm looking for, DMase, is we all saw that the Chiefs had to play a little more small ball last year. They had to work for their success. And I know they tried to go draft some people. They tinker, but their wide receiver crew on paper doesn't really scare you. So a lot of people are wondering, is the Chiefs offense going to attack downfield, or they're going to have to do it again with sort of the small ball?
I think they will do a little bit of both. They have the speed to get downfield with Worthy as their rookie receiver, and they got a couple other guys out at the receiver position that does have speed. Now, one of their receivers, John, Brown, Hollywood Brown, he will be out this game, so they will not have his services. But Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He'll figure it out. I see this game as, if Baltimore lose, it's going to be, everybody's going to be writing them off. They can't do it. I'm not saying writing them off as far as getting to the playoffs, but, writing them off as a team that can potentially make it to the Super Bowl. It will be a bigger story if they lose rather than, I believe, if they win. I think if they win, there will always be this, well, Patrick didn't have this, his first game of the season. He didn't do well last year. They'll dismiss it because they'll say, well, he lost to Detroit in the first game last year. They end up going to the Super Bowl. So they'll dismiss all of that. But if Lamar Jackson loses, then it's going to be the end of the world for a lot of people.
He'll be under the microscope.
Yeah, it will be like, he can't beat Patrick Mahomes. How is he going to ever make it to the Super Bowl? Because he has to go through Arrowhead to get there. So just watch it. It's going to be a tale of two tapes.
Here's the other thing we have to prepare ourselves for.
Yes.
And Adam, I remember the first time I saw DMase in a Ravens uniform. It was tough, man. It was tough. Took me a while, man. Him and Smart roll, and then eventually Steven, come on, what is going on here? So we're going to see Derrick Henry in the Ravens uniform tonight. I think we're all curious. I did not capture him on my fantasy team. I've had him on my team the last few years because I could save him. And so I didn't get him back. But I think with the Ravens offense, we're all curious because they have a little more of an outside threat, but now they've got Derrick Henry. They've always had success with the 2 and 3 tight end sets. So I'm fascinated to see how they use him.
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
and we've been talking about it all summer, right?
Harbaugh and DaCosta, they in that management, they went and got Derrick Henry for a specific reason, and that's for them to get over the hump, not necessarily for the season. It's for the playoffs. That's why over 10, 15 years ago, they went and got Steve McNair. It wasn't necessarily for the regular season. They got him to, once we got into the playoffs, playing against Pittsburgh, playing against Indianapolis, teams like that. You want a veteran quarterback that has done it before, and still was playing really good football. So I see that the same way with Derrick Henry. Again, it's not so much for the regular season. It's really for the playoffs. How do we slow the game down? How do we keep, Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen off the field? How do we do that? Well, we run the football, because trying to score point for point with Kansas City, a lot of times it ain't going to work. Buffalo was an testament to that. Buffalo was able to go toe-to-toe, but at the end, they couldn't score more points than the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's not necessarily about how many points you score. It's about how long you get the football and keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline, because you figure your defense is going to do. They held Kansas City to 17 points. I think they had 7 points after half. 17 points, and you lost 17-10. Getting Derrick Henry was for that reason and that reason alone. We can slow down the game, and we can win in a fashion where Patrick Mahomes is sitting on the bench more times than not.
L'Jarius Sneed played a big role in that game, knocking the ball away from Zay Flowers on the edge of the end zone to keep that score 17-10 Chiefs. The Ravens had 16 carries for 81 yards in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. I doubt that's going to happen again tonight with Derrick Henry. Now next to Lamar Jackson in the Ravens backfield. Another thing to keep in mind, last year, the Chiefs did not have Travis Kelce in week 1 against the Lions. He missed that game because of an injury. I expect him to, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't play. There's been no injuries for him, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure we'll see plenty of Taylor Swift at some point during the broadcast.
This is we're in year 2 of this.
Yeah,
so we got to see how they handle that part. We'll all be curious. I'm sure you can find a website that will let you bet on that. How many times you see her, right?
Of course. I don't think they showed her as much last season as they did when they first started dating. Once you broke down the actual minutes based upon, the game, it was minimum at best. But when they do show her, they talk about her. And then they talk about it after they're stopped, after the camera is on the field. Then they talk about it a little bit more. So they will talk about her more than they show her, I do believe.
They'll talk about her more than they show her?
Yeah, because I think they'll show her
last year where they would show her, but
a little bit.
After a while, the announcers feel that you don't feel compelled to talk about it.
Yeah.
Whereas early on, when it was new, it was like, oh, well, there's Taylor Swift. Like after a while,
I tell you, he's benefited from it.
I see her there. I know she's there, and she's excited. They just scored a touchdown.
I found this graphic. I found this graphic.
Adam has found it.
I found this graphic from the AFC Championship game specifically. The game time was 3 hours and 9 minutes. She was shown for a total of 44 seconds.
See, I tell you, they don't show her much.
She was shown 7 times for a total of 44 seconds during the broadcast of the AFC Championship game, according to this graphic I found.
I actually heard in a really interesting, and the interview was not about her.
Yeah.
But the interview was with Ian Eagle on Richard Deitch's sports media podcast, which is always a really good listen. We've had Richard on for years on this station. Does a great job. But he asked a great question. It was like, as season was like 3/4 full at that point, so it had sort of run its course. But he actually asked Ian Eagle, how does a broadcast deal with that? Right. And Ian Eagle went through the whole thing of like, after a while, you get to a point where it's time not to just talk about it so much because people are getting saturated with it and it's enough. But early on, he did have the great line where he worked it in there when Travis Kelce scored. And he said something like, he finds the space in the end zone.
A blank space in the end zone.
Yeah. So
Is that a Taylor Swift song?
Yeah,
is,
it is.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
That
all
went
the
over my head
Swifties
for
are
a
like,
second.
we love this Iron Eagle guy now. Who's this guy? So,
There were plenty of stories
right.
in print and on television last year about the profound impact that Taylor Swift had on the viewing audience, particularly with young women, and them becoming interested in football because they knew that they might see Taylor Swift on the broadcast. I do think the novelty will have worn
Right.
off by now.
And it
Let's
puts the
hope.
burden on the producer and the announcers doing the game, like, because they know both sides of this, right? They know the Swifties are watching, but they also know the old school base are like, okay, I want to watch the Chiefs and who they're playing. I'm not worried about this other stuff. That's the balance.
Hey, before she was a global sensation, she was starring in commercials for the Predators. Do you remember that?
Oh, I
Was
remember
she?
the game where she and okay, I'm going to forget the names of the other artists that were there with her, but I remember her at Predators games, you know, cheering the Predators on. Yeah, doing the ads. That's way back when.
Those were much simpler times.
Yes,
when
much
Taylor
simpler
Swift could
times.
show up for a Predators game
yeah.
and not be mobbed by everybody in attendance. I do want to point one thing out. So, Willie, I know that you have been scouring the internet looking for people picking the Titans to make the playoffs.
Oh, yes. Do we have another member of the club? I'm going to write this person down.
We do.
I'm making a list.
On ESPN,
so far, we have 2.
On ESPN, Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler have a little bit of a back and forth going on. And one of the questions is, who's your pick for an under-the-radar team that will make the playoffs? Jeremy Fowler says the Tennessee Titans.
Jeremy Fowler.
Add Jeremy Fowler
to the list.
Wonderful. So he joins Jamie Erdahl and a guy named Dakota Zientek from the ProFootballNetwork.com website.
So Jeremy Fowler.
But Jeremy Fowler, hey man, he's got some. He's known. He and Jamie Erdahl, that's not nobody. So we got a list of 3.
That's somebody.
He says in part, quote, Coach Brian Callahan has a proven touch with quarterbacks, so expect Will Levis, now armed with more playmakers, to improve. On defense, additions such as cornerback L'Jarius Sneed and linebacker Ernest Jones will make an impact, though edge rusher is still a mild concern. Then Dan Graziano says he likes that pick by Jeremy Fowler. So maybe put Graziano 0.5.
But let's keep in mind that if this is again a produced segment of who could be a surprise team, right? I think if you pin down Fowler and saying, okay, give me your predictions, which we're going to do on the show today, that's when you really know. Like, if you're sort of asked to give a dark horse, that's a little different than saying, but I'll accept it.
There were many other teams he could have pulled from.
Right. Plenty.
He could have said the Chargers. He could have said the Seahawks, something like that, but he chose the Titans. So we'll give him partial credit. So maybe put an asterisk next to his name on that list with Jamie Erdahl and who was the other person?
Dakota Zientek.
That's not a real person.
I thought just about to say
you don't think
Dakota
so?
Fanning. I was like, oh, she picked him. Okay.
So you know Dakota Fanning, but you don't know the name of Taylor Swift songs?
No, I don't. I like Dakota Fanning. I like her movies, especially the one she played in with War of the Worlds. The only thing she did was scream the whole movie.
Hey, a job's a job.
Hey, I would have took it. They paid her a lot of money just to scream in the whole movie.
Let me tell you, 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, we didn't get to these yesterday, but Willie is armed with his Titans pre-regular season questions.
The 10 Titans questions.
We've done 4 so far. Since we didn't do them yesterday, we have 3 to do today. We'll start with that next. Adam Vingan, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Willy and DMase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Adam Bingen, Willy Donick, Derek Mason here with you. And before we get to Willy's Titans questions, Dylan is on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dylan, go ahead.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good, thank you.
Hey, I just have some crazy tidbits to say. The first one is, y'all know Ricky Pearsall got shot in the chest, and then he was back in the weight room a few days later. But Michael Thomas stubbed his toe like 3 years ago, and he probably will never play football again. So that's just the first piece I thought was crazy. And then the NFL, they released like an official hype video for the season, and C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, Matt Stafford, Jordan Love, Justin Jefferson, Myles Garrett, and T.J. Watt were shown 0 times, but they showed Taylor Swift 5 separate times throughout the video. So just some random little, fun facts for you guys.
Thanks, Dylan.
Well,
appreciate it.
Dylan. Well, the NFL, they're not stupid. That's one thing they're not. They don't care about the players' health and safety either, but they're smart when it comes to money. Because they know if they put a Taylor Swift face on a hype video, then many more people will be watching it. So, I mean, kudos to them for doing it.
I guess it was Patrick Mahomes might have said in an interview. Yes, Patrick Mahomes said recently that Taylor Swift had been drawing up plays. Now, he probably is being facetious.
Yeah, I think.
But maybe there's a touchdown play for Travis Kelce tonight that Taylor Swift helped design. You never know.
I'm sure. They said they were she's trying to learn football more in depth. They did. I saw an article about that not too long ago, which is great because, if you're going to be dating someone that plays the sport, then you need to know about the sport if you truly care about the person. That's like him probably knowing a lot of her music now that they're dating. So it goes both ways.
Patrick Mahomes said in an interview with NBC's Chris Sims about Taylor Swift, in part, quote, "She's really interested in football and she asks a lot of good questions. Started drawing up plays. We might have to put one in."
See, there you go. I think Andy Reid would have something to say about that one.
If Travis Kelce scores a touchdown tonight, someone will ask, was that play designed by Taylor Swift?
Of course. You know that.
So
that
we'll see what happens. But Willy, we have been going over your Titans questions. We've done 4 so far. I was out the other day when you were
by proxy, you were able to weigh in and get your vote down.
I'll tell you exactly what I was doing. I was sitting in my car in the driveway after having driven my son around so that he would fall asleep.
I know that game.
Yes.
So I was sitting idling in my driveway with the radio on while my son was asleep in the back seat in the early afternoon.
Hey, so we put him to sleep?
No.
What?
He was asleep.
What are you trying to say?
He was asleep before I turned the radio on.
It can't be like that one guy with Jason McJoe. He's actually snoring on the phone.
So here are the 10 Titans questions that we feel are going to dictate how the Titans do this season. Pivotal questions that we have discussed backwards and forwards throughout the summer and throughout training camp. The first one, just to recap if you missed it, Tony Pollard or Tajay Spears, who will be the more productive running back? 14 takeaways last year for the Titans. That's all they had. 31st in the league. They've got a different defense that's going to be more aggressive, blitzes more. A lot of new players. And the question was over or under 20 and a half takeaways, which would still be less than league average last year, but that would be a marked improvement. Question 3, how many points will the Titans average per game? A, ineligible to vote, like the last 2 years, under 18 points per game. They've been in the 17 range for 2 straight years. B, adult, but still must have the fake ID to get into a bar, 18 to 20.9 points. And C, can go to bars legally with no stress, just show your real ID, 21 or more points per game. Question 4, will Tavondre Sweat finish in the top 10 in Defensive Rookie of the Year? So those are the 4 going into today. Now, here's the new one. Number 5, this I'll throw out to DMase first. Will D-Hop and Calvin Ridley combine for over or under 2,200 receiving yards? So there's a number of different ways you could get to this. They've got to stay on the field. One could have a great year. The other could have a so-so year, or they could both be sort of right around the same. But 2,200, over or under?
Based upon what both did last year, I would assume that it would be over 2,200. But you got to factor in this is a different offense. They seem to have more guys they can rely on, whether it be Boyd, Pollard, Spears, NWI, Traylon Burks. They got guys they can throw the ball to other than D-Hop and Calvin Ridley. But listen, Ridley is going to be the number one guy. At least that's what they want him to be. I expect him, for the money they paid him, if he doesn't have over 1,100 yards, it's a disappointment. It really is. So with him, I think he finished the season with 1,200. D-Hop in between that, I don't know, 8 to 950.
So that would be a little short.
Yeah, they may be a little short, but I'm going with the over.
You're going over.
DMase
has faith. Over.
Yeah.
All right, Adam?
I'm going under for the reason that Derek explained before, going the opposite direction that I thought he was going to go. There are more mouths to feed in the passing game this season between Ridley, Hopkins, Boyd, Spears, Pollard. I think the wealth is going to be spread around more in terms of passing yards. So I will take under 2,200 for Ridley and Hopkins combined.
I'm being optimistic about it, Willie.
You usually are.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, if you think about it, I'm not changing what I said, but realistically, if you think about it, if I'm being a realist, I would say right at 22, maybe a little bit under.
That's why I put it at 22. I want it to
right
be a
at
challenge.
22 or a little bit under.
I'm also going under. And I do think they're going to throw to the running backs a lot, is what I really feel is going to be a part of this equation. I'm hoping that the efficiency is there. I'm also hoping some other guys kind of emerge to where you don't feel like you have to lean on both of those guys as much. I feel like Ridley's going to get his. I wonder about D-Hop missing the whole preseason. So I went under because there's also a chance, if somebody gets hurt and misses some games, that hurts. So I'm going under.
And here's another. If Will Levis plays patient football, then I think no. I truly think no. But if that indeed happens, then yes, because they got to get the ball down the field. But if he plays controlled football, if he plays, patient football, then I can see both of them not combining for 2,200. But if you just look at the pass catchers in general, you will see the production out of everybody, not just two guys.
I do want to point out before Willie gets to his next question, something interesting I saw courtesy of our friend John Glennon. Among a team's active wide receivers, the Titans lead the NFL in most total career receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns in that group.
Well, you got three guys that at one point they were starters.
Okay. Number 6, Traylon Burks. We have asked questions about him for 3 years. He's still talked about a lot. The skepticism is certainly out there. I feel like there's just it's not in the cards for him to get the ball thrown to him 100 times. So I tried to come up with a creative way to ask, how could he help the team? What would be good? And I came up with this. Over or under 12.5. I'm going to call them dynamic plays. This is a Willy stat. This is not Pro Football Focus or Aaron Schatz or anything that I refer to. This is just one I came up with for Traylon himself. I'm going to count a dynamic play, a touchdown of any kind, or a 20-plus yard catch or run, which would be, I guess, an explosive play, right? So if he's doing that, then he's helping the team. He's got that ability. So 12.5 for the season. And obviously, if he caught a 50-yard touchdown pass, that would count as 2. So I feel like that's a semi-low bar, but it would be a huge jump over last year. So, Adam, why don't you start it off?
Okay, so that last part throws a wrinkle in this. So if he has a 50-yard touchdown, that counts as 2 dynamic.
That would be a
play.
double play.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's both. It's a touchdown and an explosive 20-plus yard play.
Interesting. I'm going to say under because, quite frankly, I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay.
No disrespect to Traylon Burks. He's had a hard time staying on the field. He has, if I'm not mistaken, 1 career receiving touchdown since entering the NFL. I want I would love to see 12.5 or more. I just can't get there. I'm going to say under.
It's I try to put 12.5 because I'm thinking that's less than one per game. Like if he just have one game where maybe he breaks out and has a couple in the same game, and just one here and there in the other games, that could get you into the neighborhood here, and that would be a big jump up. So DMase, what do you think?
Wow, you said how many?
12.5.
12.5 explosive plays
or touchdowns.
I want to say, you know what? I'm gonna be an optimist again. I'm going to say yes, because again, to what you said earlier for the 1,200 yards, 2,200 yards, someone's going to go down. Someone's going to miss a game.
But
or
is
maybe
him?
two. I don't think it's not going to be him. I
So
think
you
he's
feel
gonna be one of the
feel
guys.
better that he's going to have a year where he stays out there more.
Exactly. And I think this will be the year, because I think he'll get an opportunity to play a little bit more because of them trying to save their older, players at the receiver position, trying to save their legs. So I could see him spelling D-Hop a lot during the season, which will cause him to have the ability to have those explosive plays.
I tried to set it so it would be tough. I'm trying to ask myself, is Brian Callahan the guy that is going to unlock Traylon Burks? And is he just a guy that's due for a little bit of good luck? I worry about him just being that guy that has trouble staying out there. But if they use him right, I think he can get into this neighborhood.
12.
So now I'm kind of kicking myself and saying, should I have gone 10.5?
Go 10.5. Yeah. But you can't change it now.
Can't change it now.
Can't change it now.
But I did see them use him, for example, in the Saints game.
Mm-hmm.
They had a one-on-one. It was down at the goal line. He drew the pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
But down at the goal line, I feel like he could make two
big body.
2 or 3 touchdown catches, right? And just so we're not 12 is not an unbelievable number.
Because if you're looking at
scattered about.
Yeah, if you look at Calvin Ridley is not a red zone guy. He has proven he's not a red zone guy thus far in his career. They didn't use D-Hop in the red zone last year, which I thought it was their fault. If you're going to use him any place on the field, use D-Hop in the red zone. You have to take advantage of Traylon Burks' big body, physicality, and use him in the red zone. Now, will it happen? I don't know, but in this offense, he should be able to get opportunities in the red zone because his field has shrunk and he's a bigger body.
Okay, so you've convinced me. I will go with the over. And I'm sure
am I
a lot
on
of
an island here.
You're on the island.
I'm on the under island on this one.
But I think a lot of the listeners will be on the island with you because I think there's some eye rolls going on because I'm still a guy that watches him in a practice and says, golly, if he could just unlock it, stay out there. There's been a million guys in all of the sports where they tantalize you like that. They tease you, and it never happens. And there's a lot of people going, that's it. It's over. I'm off that train. So I think a lot of people will head for the island with Adam on the under on this. But I'm giving it one last shot. I'm biting.
It's a nice island. It's sunny.
As long as Callahan
white sand beaches.
Get on that island.
Come visit Under Island. I don't like the sound of that. Let's not do that.
Under what?
Oh boy. 615-737-1025. What do you think? You provide us with your answers to Willy's first 2 questions. The first, will DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley combine for over or under 2,200 yards receiving? And will Traylon Burks have over or under 12.5, what Willy is calling dynamic plays, which is either a touchdown or an explosive play of 20-plus yards? And the wrinkle in this is if Burks has a touchdown of 20-plus yards, that counts as 2 dynamic plays. What do you think? Let us know on your phone, or our phone and text lines on your phone, 615-737-1025. We will answer Willy's third and final question of the day coming up next. Adam Vingan, Willy Donick, Derek Mason, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Tune into 93.3 FM Totally Hits Nashville this Saturday for MTSU football. The Blue Raiders will be on the road and take on Ole Miss. Pre-game starts at 1:45. Kickoff is at 3:15. Coverage also available on the 93.3 FM Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. Willy and DMase with Adam Vingan going over Willy's Titans questions. Let's recap those two questions. Will Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins combine for over or under 2,200 receiving yards? And will Treylon Burks have a combined 12.5 dynamic plays? Tyler on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, suggests we name them the Donic dynamic plays. So a dynamic play, according to Willy, is a touchdown of any kind or a play of at least 20 yards. So will Treylon Burks go 12.5 over under dynamic plays? Tyler, the aforementioned Tyler, says both are under, and he doesn't think it's close.
Doesn't think it's close.
He doesn't think it's close.
I don't have much pushback on that one. I'm just being optimistic.
We have an unnamed texter, so what should we name our unnamed texters?
Oh, man.
What do we got, Nick?
I was thinking movie stars, but we could go something else.
Let's say movie star.
Keanu-
Dakota Fanning.
Dakota Fanning. I was
There
going
we
to say Keanu Reeves for some
Okay.
reason.
What were you thinking, Willie?
Oh, that sounds good. Let's
Dakota
write it down.
Fanning on our text line says slightly under on D-Hop and Ridley and way under on Burks.
Ooh, no one's
Way
optimistic
under
about
on
that.
Burks.
Here's a quick stat for you. Last year, and this is probably it goes against my optimism, but last year, D-Hop was targeted 133 times. The next closest receiver was targeted 42 times, and that was Nick Westbrook-Akine, followed by Chris Moore, 35, and then Treylon Burks, 11. No, 29. I'm sorry, 29. So he was targeted 133 times. I expect that number to be much lower this year because the addition of Boyd and Ridley, and then them, I think, being more diverse in what they want to do as far as who they want to get the ball to. They feel they got more guys that can, make plays happen within the offense Brian Callahan wants to run. So he was targeted 133 times. The next closest receiver was at 42, which is Nick Westbrook-Akine. It's not going to be like that this season, which means it doesn't bode well for my optimism unless Calvin Ridley is a 1,400 yard guy, which he can be, but
For
will he
this
do it
to
in
hit,
this offense?
one of them is going to have a really, really good.
Yes.
We have another unnamed texter. I'll go with Alicia Silverstone,
Okay, why not? We
I
talked
like that.
Clueless before.
my 90s crush.
There we
Plus,
go.
her in those Aerosmith videos. So
I
don't
read
get me
you.
started.
I read you.
Alicia Silverstone on our text line says yes on the first one. So over on the receiving yards.
Mhm.
Ridley has 1,400. D-Hop should get 800. No to Treylon Burks. I don't feel like he has confidence in himself. Maybe if he has a huge first or second game, it could boost him up. But I feel like if it ain't good early, it won't get better. It definitely won't if he doesn't play 17 games.
I like
which, of course,
Alicia
is a big one.
Silverstone's assessment of that.
Yeah, nice.
Because
job,
that's
Alicia.
what it has to be. Like you said, Willie, it has to be Calvin Ridley getting that 1,500 yards, having an explosive year. And then you figure D-Hop will be right there with 750 to 850, somewhere around there.
What's the movie that Alicia Silverstone's the psycho teenager that tries to kill Carrie Elwaves, her teacher or whatever?
I can't recall.
Ooh.
Oh man, that might have affected your crush on her. She kind of lost it in that movie.
I mean, you're talking about a kid from the 90s who's the first crush I remember having was on Amy Jo Johnson, aka the Pink Power Ranger, on the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger show when I was little. But then I graduated to Alicia Silverstone.
Okay.
No offense to Amy Jo Johnson, who was very cute, but Alicia Silverstone.
But you grow out of her. You
yeah.
just grew out of liking her. That's all. It happens.
People grow up.
Exactly.
And
Okay.
Alicia Silverstone, I mean, I always thought it was a little weird that Liv Tyler was also being a bit seductive in her father's music videos. That's a different
Yes.
conversation. But Alicia Silverstone in the Aerosmith videos, Highly recommend
Mwah.
it. Nick, I know you
I
weren't
was
born
thinking
then.
of Liv as well.
Nick wasn't alive at that point.
No.
I suggest you maybe look it up later.
Oh,
I have uncles. They've given me the nice
He
teaching
gives me
lesson.
the lowdown.
They've given you the talk. You've had the talk.
Jeez, Adam, not that talk.
Okay.
Yes. Goodness gracious.
I'm just checking. I'm just checking. Okay. Willie, you have our third and final question of the day as it relates to the Tennessee Titans as they prepare for week 1 against the Bears.
And our thanks to our colleague Jeremy Gover, who helps me out and says, Alicia Silverstone, the movie is called The Crush,
Oh, okay.
where she kind of loses it and goes a little psycho. It's quite the
Because she
movie.
liked the male teacher, wasn't it?
It was the teacher, yeah. She went
male
off on the teacher, Carrie Elwaves, who
Oh,
was
it
the
wasn't
guy
male.
from
Yeah, it was.
the guy from he's been in a million movies,
Mhm.
but he was the with the prince in the oh god, I'm just
We're-
I'm not doing
hey,
well.
Grover,
we're going on.
Text
we're
him
going
again
down
and we'll get it.
we're going down rabbit holes
Yes.
here. But The Crush is the movie. All right, so this is the last one. Simple for today. We've got the last 3 tomorrow. Titans record this season. We got to make this prediction today before there is a game played. So we're going to do it today. What do you got? Like we saw all the predictions. Pretty much everybody nationally is saying 6-11 is really the ballpark. So let's put it down because we're going to revisit these. This is part of the fun. We have these on paper, and every quarter of the season or so, we will revisit these and see how our thoughts have changed or not changed.
We literally have them on paper because Willie is writing them in a notebook.
I got it on the scrolls.
Yeah, he has on
I
the
got the
scrolls.
scrolls.
You don't know about the scrolls.
I
yet.
learned about the
Yeah,
scrolls
okay.
earlier
Yeah.
this summer.
Okay. All right.
All right. I am going to go out and say I have thought about this a lot. And I have gone from at the start of training camp 7-10 to the end of training camp 8-9. I think they're going to be competitive, and their roster screams mediocre to me, which I think is better than last year. And the question mark will be, how do we feel about the 8-9? Is this the building block to something better next year, which is the most important question. But I think they're going to look good in certain weeks. I think they're going to struggle in some weeks. If they get a little luck with the schedule and injuries, which I think they're due for, I think they're going to give us some moments. So 8-9 is my call.
They were 6-11 last season. They've made a lot of intriguing additions. They've spent a boatload of money. And we know that spending a lot of money in the offseason in any sport does not equate to winning. But I look at the rosters from the last game of last season to the projected roster for the first game this season. I see an improved team. I do not see a significantly improved team. I think they are able to squeeze one more win out of this season. So from 6-11 to 7-10. So my projection is 7-10 for the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, DMase, it's time for you. Now, let me remind you,
Yes.
DMase,
Mhm.
you got a little carried away last year. I have it down in the
yeah,
scrolls.
You're right. Yeah.
Do you remember what you said last year?
Yeah, I think I had them winning 11 games.
Was it 11?
He's pulling
I
out
think
a
it was.
different scroll.
I gotta
he
go
has
to my
several different
previous
scrolls. Yeah.
Last year's scroll. Let's see. 11-6.
This is BL. This is BL before Levis.
BL, yeah.
This is BL before Levis.
Yeah, although he was part of the 6-11 last year.
Mhm.
So you said 11-6 last year.
But that was before Will Levis was the quarterback.
Right.
Yeah,
This
so-
was when Tannehill, this was the
Yeah.
old era.
So what did I say? 11 and
You said 11-6.
11-7, 11-6. Okay. You know, I do too see this roster, like you, Willie, as a mediocre roster, but it's not the starting 11 on offense and defense. I think under that, we have some question marks, a lot of question marks. And Titan fans, you need to hold your breath and pray that no one has a significant injury on that starting 11, because if they do, whether it be offensively, defensively, more important defensively, if they do have an injury with those starting 11, I mean, it's going to take a toll on their team. I do believe that, especially at the corner position. But with that being said, I think this team is extremely top heavy. And if they can stay healthy in the right positions, corner and offensive line, I think this team has a shot. I think one of these AFC teams, in particular the AFC South, one of these teams are going to take a step back. Not to say that they won't make the playoffs, but they take a step back as far as their record. I'm just looking at the Titans and I'm saying 9-8. There's a possibility that, if they can stay healthy, 10-7 is there, but I'm going 9-8.
9-8. You heard it here. So DMase says they will be over 500 in Brian Callahan's first year.
You are not alone. Let's see. This is another good actor. Zach Braff, because Donald Faison,
Yeah.
clueless. Zach.
By the
Braff
way, I was
scrubs.
trying to think of The Princess Bride, which
Okay.
I actually,
Oh,
the
okay.
Dread Pirate Robert, that's Carrie Elwaves, who I actually went
Uh-huh.
to a Halloween party at the Wycheck residence. He used to have the big Halloween party, and may he rest in peace.
Yes.
Our man Frank, he had some amazing costumes. He and his wife Sharon at the time. So I went as the Dread Pirate Robert, and here today I'm drawing a blank, so I'm getting old. I couldn't remember the Princess
Goodness,
Bride,
Willy.
I have
and everybody thought I was Zorro. I was like, no, I'm not Zorro. I'm the guy from the Princess Bride.
I have
Like,
so
hey,
many questions.
Zorro!
But Zach Braff on our text line says the Titans will sneak into the wild card at 9-8, finish 3-3 in the division. And here's the hottest of the takes. Levis has at least a 3-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
Okay,
Wow.
so that will be a little tease for tomorrow. There will be a Will Levis question in our final 3 Titans questions tomorrow.
Gary from Clarksville says 10-7 with a wild card berth
10-7
for the Tennessee Titans.
Optimism flowing
Oh
over.
yes.
So
I love
Willie,
optimism.
you say 8-9,
I'm going 8-9.
7-10, 9-8. So
Mhm.
we're all in that.
We're in the ballpark.
We're all in that middle of the pack range. Another unnamed texter on our text line.
So let's give him a name
Antonio Banderas, because he played
because he
Zorro.
was Zorro.
There we
Yes.
go.
Oh, yeah.
Antonio Banderas says 8-9.
That's what Frank Wycheck was doing that night. He kept going, Antonio Banderas. I was like, no, Frank, it's not that. It's the Princess Bride.
I can hear Frankie saying that. Oh, man.
615-737-1025. What are your record predictions for the Tennessee Titans this season? I say 7-10. Willie says 8-9. Derek says 9-8. Coming up next, it's time for silly underdog picks. Very excited for week 2. We'll get Chris Sanders on the line. We'll get Chase McCabe on the line. I'm sure Chris Sanders has nothing to brag about. I'm sure he will be, level-headed in victory, but we'll find out next. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Willy and DMase, 1025, 1063. The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It's noon on Thursday. It's football season, which means it's time for silly underdog picks. Willy Donick, take it away.
That's the best theme song on radio, man. Gosh, I love that song.
Shout out to my brother Reese. He discovered this years ago, this movie, Willy Dynamite.
If y'all hadn't seen Willy Dynamite,
Related to Napoleon by chance?
you may not want to see it. Make sure the kids are out the room, okay?
Willy Dynamite is a pimp, by the way.
Yes, exactly. So make sure the kids are out of
Yeah.
the room.
So not related to Napoleon Dynamite.
No,
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 uh-uh.
very
And
different.
not one
Something very
bit.
different. But greetings. This is your commissioner speaking for Silly Underdog Picks 2024, presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Once again, we're glad to have them aboard. Week number 2 of the competition. We had a great spirited week 1. The contestants are back. This is the 30th year of Silly Underdog Picks. Shout out to George Plaster. And what do we call that, Adam?
The Pearl anniversary.
This is the Pearl anniversary of this fine competition. Joining us on the line. First, it is Chase McCabe, a.k.a. The Suit, who is very busy today because he is not in the studio with us, so something's going on with him. Jace, where are you?
Well, Willie, first things first, and I say this with all the love in my heart. You are the farthest thing from a pimp that I've ever met. That's what makes the song so ironic.
Oh, man.
But no,
I'll take that as a
I'm on
compliment.
yes, I have a lunch meeting today, and so I feel like George has done this a few times over the years, where he's been at lunch to do silly underdog picks, but I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Okay, are you focused? What did you order for lunch?
Focused. I think we're going to do a salad.
Got a little salad?
Today.
Will there be a protein source on there?
Chicken.
Okay.
Definitely chicken.
Chase, you know full well you don't make friends with salad. You know that full well.
You don't make friends with salad. You don't make friends with salad.
Had to sneak in that Simpsons reference for Chase, but you
Oh
don't
my- what in the
win
world?
friends with salad.
Also joining us on the line, the one and only Forever Titan, Chris Sanders, who is hanging out over West End Avenue at Montgomery Bell Academy. Chris.
DMase, how we doing?
Hey, man, ain't you supposed to be mentoring some damn kids or something? Damn them kids, man. Shoot.
The phone line says MBA, so clearly Chris is calling from a line at the school, neglecting
my
his
God.
responsibilities to do this
Exactly. Yeah, y'all got beat last week. Yes, Insworth. Get some.
Hey,
That's the only thing I can say.
Hey, easy, man. Hey, I'm
Hey,
ready.
Chris.
I saw you on the sideline over there yelling and
Dude.
screaming at the kids.
Dude, my shirt was,
Hey, Matt,
I couldn't really move
Chris,
too much. My shirt.
Matt Hasselback from Insworth
Hey,
was on our show this
I'm
morning.
mad at y'all.
Why?
He said you tried to fight him after the game.
I believe it,
sound
too.
Like Chris, that sounds like Dwayne.
I believe
No.
it too.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. If he was slipping, I was gonna kick him. I mean, I was.
Yeah, you reverted back to that guy that in the picture that Nick posted yesterday.
Which one? Who? Oh,
You
Huh.
of the picture Nick posted. You ain't see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, snap. It was you in the Ohio State uniform. You were looking a little bit like you had a Gumby high top slash
Was my hairline
Bobby
receding?
Brownish. It was lopsided. It was like you were trying to go for the Gumby,
Hey.
but your mama said no. So you told the guy not to do it.
Hey, D-Maze, I remember when you had your hair like Jerry Rice when he got braids.
That never happened.
Hey, you got to know when to let go.
Oh man.
Okay, but man, why you got to hit me that low though, man?
What? What about what?
About Insworth.
Because it's the
I'm still from
truth.
that.
Y'all got mollywopped in the first half. Luckily, y'all did come back and make it a game. So what?
right, doing this? Or where did you find a spot on the campus to do this?
What? The show right now?
Yeah, to make the pick today. You had to
I'm
get
in
in a
my
secluded
office,
area.
man. I'm in the office.
Okay, so you're out. Okay, this is good.
He's
This
in his
is good.
office in BA.
Can you imagine being in the middle of the library having this conversation? Like, wow, Coach Sanders,
First
what's
of
he
all,
doing?
Awesome.
First of all,
Chris
I'll
ain't
never
going to
be-
the library.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Chris popped
If
a
it ain't
movie
gym
into
or
the
lunch, I
TV
ain't
in the classroom and said, "I'll be back in 30 minutes."
I love
Oh, you
teachers
got
like that.
jokes
By the way.
now.
Oh, I love you. Exactly.
Those are your favorite teachers.
Usually
Pop
the
it-
subs did that.
Yeah, pop in the
substitutes,
film.
Yes.
Good to go. All right,
Yo, that's cold, man.
but now let's get to Chris's work last week in week 1 and recap
What you
the
said?
picks. Week 1 of the competition, Chris Sanders led off the season with the inaugural pick, or the first pick of the season. He took the Commodores of Vanderbilt, a 13.5-point dog against Virginia Tech. He believed he was anchoring down. Vanderbilt takes the 17-0 lead, only to fall behind 27-20 and look like it was an opportunity that would slip away. But no, they dug down deep. They tied it. They had the game-winning field goal in regulation go wide to the right. It looked like another missed opportunity. But no, Diego, Pavia, and crew got it done in OT, 34-27. Chris jumps into the lead. Chris anchored down.
But first of all, who said he is anchoring down? First of all, I mean, you can't say it like that. You gotta put some soul in. He's anchoring down. You can say he was anchoring down. I mean, you can't do that. But at the end of the day, DMase,
Shut up.
DMase,
Shut up.
DMase.
Shut up. I don't like you.
The instant replay, I don't know if we have the tape, but when Chris took Vanderbilt, DMase, the defending champion, tossed 2 pens. They both went airborne and crashed into the studio off of 2 different walls. He wanted the Commodores, but great pick for Chris Sanders. He is in the lead.
13. Let's go.
Chase McCabe had the next pick. He went with Notre Dame, a 3-point dog, and he explained, look, I think the wrong team's favored in this game. They were going down to Texas A&M, and yes, the Fighting Irish looked impressive, and they pulled away late and won it 23-13. So a small gain, but a victory nonetheless for Chase McCabe. Chase, you're on the right foot.
Hey, look, singles will win you ball games. Just get runners on base. That's what I needed.
Unless you strand them on base.
Yeah, you got to have somebody knock him in.
Exactly.
Hey, you know what, Sparty? I took time out of an interview to tell somebody to tell your former quarterback that got you a robe, hello. You know, the least you could do is show a little respect.
Hey, listen, there's only one guy and one guy only that can call me Sparty, and that's Les Steckel. That's Les Steckel. That's the only he called me Sparty or Spartan all the time. So I reserve that for Coach Les Steckel.
Okay.
But you can say it every
All
once
right.
in a while.
That's
You know.
fair.
When I win, you can say it.
Adam Vingan had the 3rd pick. This was his dive into the competition. And so we kind of learned the tough part about the silly underdog picks because remember, there are no points for a cover. You have to have the underdog win outright. So Adam made a very sensible pick. Took the Stanford Cardinal, a 9-point home dog against TCU. Of course, what conference is Stanford in now, Adam?
The Atlantic Coast Conference?
Yes. And where is Stanford located? Did they move?
California?
They're located in Palo Alto, California. That's not close to the Atlantic Coast. But
I didn't
they're
think
in that
so
league.
either.
Stanford led in the 4th quarter. They took the lead. They were hanging around. I fell asleep before the end of it, I have to tell you. But Adam, you were right there. They covered, but they fell short to the Horned Frogs 34-27. The heartache.
It was a tough loss, but then again, maybe Stanford deserved it. As an ACC purist, I don't want any California teams in my league. So
Yes.
maybe they deserved it. I lost, but maybe I also won because Stanford got a taste of it.
There is kind of a balance with
Yes.
this competition.
But it
Adam,
was a
by the
good-
way, is a no-holds-barred Duke basketball fan especially.
Yes. A proud native of Durham, North Carolina.
So Adam is 0-1. Now let's get to DMase. His first pick of the season, trying to go for the grand salami. He took the Blue Hose of Presbyterian. Now, this sounds, on paper, this sounds like it's got a shot. The Blue Hose, 28-point dogs at Mercer. Now, Mercer is not going to be confused with, John Robinson's USC Trojans of the 70s
all.
or Barry Switzer's Oklahoma Sooners of the 80s or the U and the, it's Mercer. Final score, Mercer 63, Presbyterian 10. And it wasn't really that close.
Yeah, it really wasn't. That was the frustration pick. That's what that was. And I blame myself for it. I let Chris and Adam get in my head because they took my picks, and I just wasn't thinking.
Hey, Willie, can I ask a question real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
To the panel. You mentioned Les Steckel earlier, Derek.
Yes.
When he would draw up a deep play and Steve was looking for a deep, wide open receiver, it was Chris Sanders, not Derek Mason. So you may need to pick your own strategy.
No.
Every once in a while he did. So that's what I'm looking for, that every once in a while where I can win one of these big games, and I'm capable of doing it.
Nah, I'm the king this year.
Oh, wow.
Well, we're going to find out. Let's get week two's picks. Here we go. Here's the order this week. Chase McCabe will have the first pick. Adam Vingan the second pick. DMase third. Chris Sanders fourth. And, of course, Chris is in the lead with 13.5 points. Chase with 3. Adam and DMase looking for their first win. So let's get the first pick of the week with Chase McCabe. The suit.
Behold the king, the king of kings. On your knees, dog.
All right, so I'm going to go to a matchup between the SEC and the ACC, and this was a close one last year. This is a rematch from last year. I'm going to take the California Golden
Chase,
Bears.
before you continue, you took Derek's pick.
Seriously,
he's losing his mind in the studio.
There
right
was
now.
Something was wrong with my computer yesterday. I'm starting to believe y'all are hacking my computer.
I got you back in the group chat. Actually, it was Nick who got you back in the group chat, so none of this conspiracy talk anymore.
I think y'all are hacking me, man. It's a conspiracy between everybody to get me out of this competition to make sure I don't win.
It's tough for the defending champ. It's tough.
I guess that was your accomplice and the wood chipper.
Damn!
All right,
It's just you and your eagle. It's just you and your eagle. But not this weekend. I'm going to take the Golden Bears of California plus 13 against Auburn. It was a close game last year. Auburn beat them 14-10. I think Cal goes in and gets revenge this year.
So California, the Golden Bears, yes, California, proud member of what conference?
The Atlantic Coast
The
Conference.
Atlantic Coast Conference.
The Any Coast Conference.
Is a 13-point dog
basically
on the road against 1-0 Auburn. And so that game is going to be Saturday afternoon on ESPN2, which will I have that in my house? Will anybody that has DirecTV have that in their house? That remains to be seen. There's a feud going on between DirecTV and ESPN. It is kind of a bummer. All right, that brings us.
Willie, I, in honor of the founder of this competition, I hate to do this, but I got to run.
Okay, well, Suit, good luck with your pick.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy
Thank
your
you so much.
salad.
I will. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to Adam Vingan. He's focused. He's locked in, looking for his first ever win in the competition. I picture Adam coming around the corner out of the tunnel to this music.
Okay, so my first pick did not go well last week, though as Willie explained, it was close.
It was close. You're right.
I was
there.
on the edge. But so Chase uses a wrestling song by a wrestler named Triple H as his entrance song for Silly Underdog Picks. And to quote Triple H, you look to your family, you look to your blood when you're making certain decisions. So my sister Alyssa, my older sister Alyssa, is a proud alum of Tulane University. The Tulane Green Wave host the 17th ranked Kansas State Wildcats on Saturday. Tulane is a 9-point underdog against Kansas State. I am picking the Tulane Green Wave to upset the Kansas State Wildcats in New Orleans. +9.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
The Green Wave is indeed a 9-point dog playing. It says here Benson Field at Ullman Stadium in New Orleans. Is that correct? They haven't moved
suppose
this game
so.
to the Superdome.
The
or
game
anything
is
like
not
that.
at the Superdome.
Okay.
Mhm.
So Tulane, who's been really good, and of course we've seen Jaquan Jackson, we've seen Tajay Spears. They're looking for more against the 17th ranked K-State Wildcats. Okay, that brings us to the defending champion, the 0-1 Derek Mason.
Go, Willy, go right.
Oh yeah. All right.
This was on last night, by the way. Reese was on. I should have given you a heads up because I couldn't watch the games on ESPN, so I was
So you had
flipping
to
around
watch
trying
that,
to find
yeah.
something to watch. Grease was on.
Oh man, I got to pick. I have 3 games on my docket, but I had 4 until Chris picked the first one. Oh man, I thought about Carolina and Kentucky. That's gonna be a good game. It really is in Lexington. But I'm gonna go this week with I just had here we go.
Who's Presbyterian playing this week?
I have no idea. I'm gonna go down to Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and I'm picking the Arkansas Razorbacks to defeat the number 16 Oklahoma State, whatever they are,
Cowboys.
Cowboys. I was about to say Sooners for a second there.
Mullets.
No, but the Cowboys,
The Gundies.
so they are -7.5.
Ooh.
A plus.
So I'm taking Oklahoma State's -7.5. So I'm taking Arkansas to win that game.
Okay.
I thought about the South Carolina game in Kentucky. That's going to be a good game. I'm sure that's the game Chris is going to pick. I guarantee.
No,
you.
heck to the no.
We're going to find out in a moment.
Exactly.
Arkansas is a 7.5-point dog on the road at Oklahoma State. So we move on to the leader in the
And
competition
Bobby
right
Petrino,
now.
I believe.
It is the one and only Chris Sanders, who has 13.5 points thanks
Yes,
to
sir.
the Commodores.
Yeah. I want to now. Just to let it show. That's good singing right there.
Yeah.
That's
Good high
good
notes.
singing right there, boss. I got a couple of games that I really, really like, but I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with BYU over SMU +10.
I got good news for you. It's 11.5 on our official
Oh,
CBS
let's go.
Sports
11
poll
and a
here.
half. I thought
So
it was 12.
don't push your luck. BYU, 11.5-point dog on the road at SMU. Name that conference. SMU now in the Big 12, correct?
SMU is now a member of the Atlantic
Yeah,
Coast Conference.
the ACC.
Oh, wait a minute.
Can I change mine? Can I change it? Can I change it?
Can you
No.
change it?
You're
No.
locked in, my friend.
Yes, once you say it,
You had such
man.
conviction.
It's out your
Exactly.
mouth.
The
It's on the
wrong
paper.
one.
no, it's not the secret. No, you got it. It may win, Chris. You never know. It may win.
What had you turn so quickly
Exactly.
on the
No, 'cause
Cougars?
I wanted to go with New Mexico State Liberty.
It's
New
up
Mexico
to the,
State doesn't
it's up
have
to
any
the panel.
players left.
It's up to the panel. It's up to the
Oh.
panel. What do y'all want? It's up to y'all.
Once it leaves his lips, it's on the
Oh.
paper.
Card laid is a
Okay.
card played.
All right, that's how I said it.
That's what I would say.
No
we
gives
play
and backs.
spades, man. Once you lay
I
that
think
card,
that-
you
Oh,
can't
that's
pick
true.
it
That's
up.
I
a
agree.
time-tested rule
Yeah.
right there.
I agree.
All right. Chris Sanders has the Cougars. So let's recap. And then let me remind people that, unfortunately, this is may it rest in peace for now. We
Mhm.
hopefully will come back. We do not have the online contest, but Nick Frazier is looking for you, a member of the people, to call and make the people's pick against the panel this week. They're 0-1. The panel, the people picked North Dakota State last week, a 10.5-point dog at Colorado. They led at the half. They did cover. No points against Dion and company. So the people are 0-1. Can you represent the people this week by calling 615-737-1025? Call in now. Get in.
What
and
are
you
they
can
winning?
make a pick.
What's the prize? For
The
this
prize is a pair of tickets to see Weezer
week? Oh,
at
okay.
Bridgestone Arena
Uh-huh.
on Tuesday, September
Weezer.
17th. So if
Okay.
you win, you will get a pair of tickets to see Weezer at Bridgestone Arena on September 17th.
All right,
Sounds
let's
good.
review. Let's review the picks. Here we go. Week 2 of the competition, 2024 Silly Underdog Picks presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. The suit, Chase McCabe from lunch. A, ordered a grilled chicken salad. I don't know if it was grilled chicken or fried chicken. But chicken was involved,
He
and it
just
was
said
a
chicken.
salad. He
You don't win
selected
friends with salad. I'm just saying.
California, a 13-point dog on the road at Auburn. California now a proud member of
The Atlantic Coast Conference.
Adam Vingan, rookie in the competition, looking for his first win, selects the Green Wave of Tulane, a 9-point home dog against 17th-ranked Kansas State. Derek Mason with the third pick goes with Arkansas, a 7.5-point dog on the road at Oklahoma State. Is that an old Southwest Conference matchup? Am I getting that right? This is history. This is going way back. I feel like Arkansas and Oklahoma State used to play a lot way back in the day. And finally, Chris Sanders, the leader in the competition, selects timidly because he almost did a 180, but he put the card down on the table. The BYU Cougars, an 11.5-point dog on the road down in Dallas at SMU.
Proud member of the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Yes. Well, those are the picks for week number 2. Make sure you pay attention and pick for the people. That's coming up just around the corner. So, gentlemen, good luck in the second week of our competition.
Ooh.
Well, once again, each one of you, I wish you nothing but misery in this week's competition. Nothing but misery. Hope y'all lose by ungodly points. I hope y'all teams get blown out by combined 100 points.
All right, Chris, you're free to go. The movie is almost out in the classroom.
Yes.
The kids are trying not to fall asleep or throw the paper airplane, so you better get back over there.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. I still hope you guys lose, but I love you.
Make sure
Damn them kids.
Make sure there's no gum on your chair. Look before you
Thank you,
sit.
fellas.
Look before
All right,
you
man.
sit. That's all
Later.
I'm saying.
All right.
615-737-1025. We will get, let me say that again. We will get the people's pick for silly underdog picks when we return. 1025-1063, the game. We do have the people. Mike.
All right, let's talk Loan Pronto. Remember, the message is out there. The message is out there that Loan Pronto has those rates right in the ballpark where you want it. It's so much better than it has been for the last couple of years when rates went up. They're down for the first time in years, and they start with the 4. So if your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it, lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto has locked in folks recently at 4.99% APR. If that's music to your ears, or even if you just want to know more about it, how that can help you, call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like the other guys. And if you act now and work with the zero-cost rate reduction home loan, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. And then those monthly payments are going to be a lot lower. So you're going to save money. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Tune into 94.9 The Fan today as the Nashville Sounds take on Gwinnett. Pregame at 6:20, first pitch at 6:35, with coverage also available on 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks, Family Leisure, 5 Points Roofing, and Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Adam Vingan, Willy Donick, Derek Mason. We're awaiting the people's pick, and we do have someone on the line. Willie, will you do the honors?
I will. Michael has been poised and ready to go. He responded quickly. He wants to make a pick for the people. He wants to get the people on the board for our Silly Underdog competition presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. All right, Michael, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
All right. So
Fire away.
I'm going to go with the Memphis Tigers to upset Florida State University. Florida State University is going to continue the skid that they're on. And I would have really loved to see, at least according to FanDuel, it's the only thing that I looked up. Memphis is 3.5-point underdogs. I don't know what it is on y'all's official ruling that y'all are looking at, but I would have loved to see what this line was before FSU had this fall from grace.
I think Memphis has Troy this week.
What?
Yeah, I think so. If I'm looking at it correctly, Willie.
No.
Yes. So you're going to have to make another pick.
Yeah, Memphis has Troy this week. Yeah, you might have been looking
bad.
at the previous
next week.
Next
yeah,
week. Yeah, next week.
Yep, that's my bad. Okay, so off the cuff, I am going to go FIU beating Central Michigan then. They're 6.5-point dogs.
All right.
FIU. And I got to, now I'm trying to figure out what conference they are in.
I have no idea.
Well,
FAU or FIU?
Eastern Michigan.
He said FIU, right?
Okay, so that's Conference USA. FAU is no,
it's FIU. There's I have it with Willie. It's Central Michigan, FIU. Central Michigan is minus 6.5. So I have it right here.
That's correct.
Yep.
So we have some action versus the Conference USA. All right. So FIU is a 6.5-point home dog against Central Michigan. That's this Saturday on ESPN Plus. All right, Michael, you're representing the people. Great job pivoting after your initial pick was not on the board. So great job to go down to Pitbull Stadium in Miami.
All right. Yep. Let's go FIU.
All right. Yeah, thanks a lot,
Sounds
Michael.
good.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you,
call and
Michael.
good luck to you. Let's hope Michael likes Weezer.
Exactly. I think he's gonna win that pick.
Yes, if Michael wins, he will get a pair of tickets to see Weezer at Bridgestone Arena on Tuesday, September 17th.
Sounds like I need to start quizzing myself on what conference some of these guys are in because it is a jumbled mess.
Yeah, because they've changed conferences. It seems like they're dissolving conferences. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy. The Pac-12 is not a Pac-2 or the Pac-3, whatever it is.
Has anybody called Merton Hanks in his office as the whatever his job is at the Pac-12? There's
What is
still
his
offices
job?
there. Yeah.
Like-
Isn't he something like he represents the Pac-12 network or he works in the media? This was a great NFL player at one time, but he's still working for the league.
Won
We saw a
Super
story.
Bowls and everything else. But okay, with the Pac-12, and I may have asked this question previously in months ago, but I know the football portion has moved, teams left and moved. Basketball also, right?
Gone.
How about the other sports? Are
Gone.
all sports gone?
Gone.
Well, what the hell is Morton Hanks doing then? I thought at least if it was just a few of the sports that when he still got to oversee volleyball, track, stuff like that. But I guess all of it's gone.
It's all gone.
Yes, I mean, what does he do?
He's just leading the pack. That's it.
The pack of
Just
the pack of two.
The pack of two.
Yeah.
I mean, two makes a pack, right?
I guess
That's
so.
right. The guy in The Hangover,
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis, was the wolf pack of one. And then he met his buddies, his new friends.
Became a wolf pack of four.
I'm pretty sure he talks to Tommy a lot.
I'm sure him and Tommy first name basis.
Yeah. They go to lunch all the time.
Yeah.
Earlier in the show, when we were answering Willie's Titans questions, the final question of the day, and we'll wrap up the question portion tomorrow, heading into the weekend with the Titans opening the season in Chicago. The final question Willie asked today was straightforward. What is the Titans' record going to be this season? I said 7-10. Derek said 9-8. Willie said 8 and 9. Do I have that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay. So during that, we received some predictions. Cody from Jolton on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, said 10 and 7, 3 and 3 in the division, and a wild card berth. We also had a prediction from an unnamed texter. Let's think of another movie star here quickly, or television star. We'll just go with Liv Tyler because she was front of mind before.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
She's been on the front of.
In fact, I
men's
just
minds
saw
over the years.
the other day. The Thing You Do, that movie was on with Liv Tyler in it.
Well, Independence Day was on. Was she? No, she was in Armageddon.
Armageddon.
That's right.
was on the other day.
Of course, with the Aerosmith song, Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
I love that song because I heard it in that movie.
Liv Tyler says 12 and 5.
12 and 5.
Wow.
Now that's a daily high. We have
Yeah.
not seen one that high.
So let's just go with 10 and 7, or let's go with, well, Derek said 9 and 8. So let's go double digit wins. What has to break right in order for the Titans to be a double digit win team when barely anybody would suggest that they are a double digit win team?
I think I would answer that best by saying they need some big luck with health, and they need some good fortune with schedule not looking as tough as it does right now on paper. They need some breaks of a team has a rash of injuries, you catch them at the right time, and you win a couple of games. That way, you obviously have to win a lot more close games than you lose. There will be, in any NFL season, a lot of swing games that are decided by a kick, a play here or there. And then the last part that I will say, DMase, is I want to see the T-Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons duo in the middle of the line. I was listening to a podcast today about the matchup with the Bears. And they were saying the Bears' weakness is the interior of their offensive line. There's question marks there. And they talked about Jeffrey Simmons. They did not mention Devondre Sweat. And so I'm thinking, this is the first time we're going to see this and see if what we were seeing at practice plays out. So I think that's the kind of thing that can make the other players around them better. And so maybe the defense is better than people realize. To me, that is how you would get towards 10 and 7.
I do agree with you on one thing. I agree with you on a lot in there, but I do agree with you on one thing, really agree in particular, and that is the health of this team. If they can stay relatively healthy, they give themselves a shot. We've already discussed, the depth behind them is mediocre at best. Because you got a lot of guys that haven't played a lot of football. You got, rookies backing up veteran guys at certain positions. So that's going to be, to me, the central question. Can this team stay healthy? Because they haven't been able to do it over the last 2 years. But before that, they were relatively a healthy team. I don't know what happened the last 2 years. So first and foremost, like you said, Willie, they have to stay healthy. They don't have much margin of error here at all. So health is paramount with this team. And then two, I think some of these teams that we expect to just be teams that are going to get in the playoffs, they have to expect that 1 to 2 of these teams take a step back. I'm not saying that they go from from first to worst, but Houston taking a step back, meaning they split the series between Houston, the Texans, not Houston. Well, it is Houston Texans, or they split with the Indianapolis Colts. But I think in 3 of those games, Jacksonville, Houston, and Indy, they have to at least split with all 3. But I think for them to get where they're going, they got to win one of the series. They have to beat one of these teams twice and then split the other 2. They do that, they give themselves a chance. Even in the division, they give themselves a chance to win AFC South. And then that offensive line has to stay intact. I think a lot of what they hope happen is the offensive line plays a lot better. I'm not saying they have to be a top 5 offensive line in the National Football League, but they damn sure can't be a bottom 5 in the National Football League. Again, they can't do that in order for them to win or have a shot at the playoffs. So they have to stay healthy. They have to at minimum, split with everybody in their division, hoping to beat one of these teams twice. And then they have to expect or hope that this offensive line is much better than what they have played over the last year and a half.
If I recall correctly, at one point during the Mike Vrabel era, the Titans were excellent in one-score games. Correct?
Yes.
Enormously successful.
Like
And
unsustainably
Willie, you brought up that stat
successful.
at the beginning of last year. You brought up the stat.
Yeah, we brought up that repeatedly while it was going on, because the argument is always with that, whether you're talking about baseball, even hockey, even basketball, that it is a mark traditionally of a team that, quote, knows how to win. Right? When you are winning the close games, that means you're doing the little things. But analytically, the statistical community likes to say that is a sign of a team that doesn't have much margin for error. And over time, you're just not going to be able to win at the same rate. And that did collapse on Mike Vrabel the last 2 years. They had an incredible run where they seemed to be winning 2/3 of the games that were coming down to that last razor's edge. And then it went the other way. And you can think of 3 or 4 games last year where the couple games they lost in overtime where they were right there. They probably should have won it in regulation. Other games that were very, very close. They've lost that ability.
The Titans were 21-11, including the postseason in one-score games from 2018 through 2021, according to A to Z Sports. After the Titans lost to the Seahawks last year, according to our friend Teresa Walker, the Titans were 4-7 in one-score games last season. So if you can find a middle ground there, I don't know if 4-7 was the final tally in one-score games last year, but if you can maybe get to 500 in one-score games, get a couple wins that way, maybe that helps. But the good fortune that the Titans had in those games under Mike Vrabel for several years, it bottomed out. I mean, the fact that it lasted as long as it did when such things are usually unsustainable is incredibly impressive. But can the Titans be better in those one-score games this season and help boost their win total?
Well, I think the only way they can be, and I think it caught up with them. Why? Because of the depth of the team. When guys started to get injured, they didn't have guys that can step in and at least help keep the team afloat. So when you're playing those one-score games without your primary guys, you tend to lose now. And that's what we have been screaming. At least I had been screaming for 2 years. This roster isn't where it needs to be from the bottom to the top. They got a lot of good players up top, but if you start to pull away the fabric, underneath is not good. So when you start losing guys in that process, those one-score games you were winning when Derrick Henry was starting or Ryan Tannehill was there, or D-Hop was there, someone else was there. There was a marquee player, Kevin Byard. When those guys are no longer around, whether it be because of injuries or you've traded them away, those one-score games, you're not winning anymore.
The other element that gets talked about in conjunction with the close games is, are you a team that is going to more often be the team that blows out the opponent or the team that's more likely to get blown out? Because in the NFL, where you've got a parity, right? Everything's designed for everybody to be equal. A team like Kansas City, or for a while last year, Miami, they've got the weapons. There are, say, 3 or 4 games where you're just going to run the other team right out of the building. That helps when you have that type of explosiveness. The Titans really weren't that team, even in the Vrabel years. I mean, they did for a while. When they put it all together, when Derrick Henry had the 2000, they had some explosiveness there. But they had a lot of teams, I thought, that really didn't have a ton of margin for error. Not that they were going to get blown out, but they just played a lot of games that ended up close. So I don't think this particular team has that kind of explosiveness. Hopefully they are, at least I say this in a way that should not be taken as a on a knock or anything, but I think they have this sort of mediocre type of roster that will keep them in games. I don't think they're going to get run out of the building too many times, but I think that the close game stat is one to watch a lot because I do think they will play a lot of those.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll continue the conversation next. Join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and our main man, Derek Mason, at Twin Peaks and Cool Springs this Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. for the pregame show. They'll break down the Titans' Week 1 road matchup against the Chicago Bears and give you the latest updates before the game. The pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Sun Deck Nashville. Tune into 102.5, 106.3 The Game this Saturday for Vanderbilt football. The 1-0 Commodores will take on Alcorn State at home with pregame beginning at 5 and kickoff at 6:30. Coverage is also available on the Game Nashville app and at theGameNashville.com. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you, talking about our Titans predictions. Now, none of us picked the Titans to win double-digit games, but we did have some texters. And as we all know, a lot of this rides on Will Levis. And I stumbled across a story today on The Ringer, the 2024 Quarterback Commitment Index preseason edition. I'm a big fan of The Ringer's coverage of sports in general, but they do a great job with football. So it is pretty funny, the categories that they have here. For example, for the New York Jets, I believe the subhead was in a toxic relationship with an older man. The New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers fighting in public, the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts. You forgot our anniversary, the Rams and Matthew Stafford. Drafting the prenup, or excuse me, rereading the prenup, the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. So, yes, it was in a toxic relationship with an older man for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. So just underneath that, in the category, we're just fooling around, the Tennessee Titans and Will Levis. As the author states, quote, "The Titans and Levis are not putting labels on anything yet. It started as something convenient. New head coach Brian Callahan came to Nashville, and Levis was already there. And it seems mostly physical. Look at that frame, the height, the abs, so on and so forth. Levis is boom or bust, someone who finished dead last among qualifying passers in completion percentage last season, but also finished top 5 in yards per completion. He's going to throw deep or die trying. Callahan is happy to enter cuffing season with Levis, chill by the warm fire until he's got his bearings in the city, and then see whether he wants to DTR to find the relationship in the spring." Right now,
we're not putting labels on it.
Right now, they're just not anything serious. And we know how important of a season this is for Will Levis, because quite frankly, if Levis doesn't work out here, the season goes awry, he doesn't take steps forward, the Titans are going to be bad. They're not going to meet our expectations. They're going to be worse. And the Titans are going to be in a position to potentially draft another quarterback next spring. So
if they're in that boat, that's going to be pretty disappointing.
It would be. But
they are just fooling around. They haven't defined the relationship yet.
It's very casual right now. You know, sometimes they don't answer each other's text messages.
Kind of free to date other people,
right?
Still kind of play the field. They haven't discussed exclusivity.
Yeah.
If one texts the other on Saturday night and the other one doesn't get back until Monday morning, that's okay. We're just living around. We're just living our lives. They have yet to define the relationship. But
you might bump into each other at a bar.
Yeah.
When you haven't really texted each other all day and figured out where the other person's going, but you bump into each other.
Yeah.
Because you're just fooling around.
Hey, as we know, Nashville is perfect for that kind of stuff. You see it all the time down on Broadway.
Now there's one issue I do take, and we've talked about this a lot. I think this is a big theme because the national media has labeled Will Levis as a gunslinger because that's what he did last year. He was kind of all or nothing. But you've heard Brian Callahan throughout the whole preseason say, take we want you to take what's there. Don't feel like you've got to go for it all the time. And I think they're going to call plays accordingly. So can he change that reputation? That to me is big because he's got a label. Will the label be different when we talk a year from now?
I'm not sure there were any guidelines last year for Will Levis in regards to, hey, let's take things step by step. Because I don't think they didn't anticipate him playing at all last year. I don't think. I think if it was up to Vrabel, if Tannehill wouldn't have got hurt, Tannehill would have remained the quarterback throughout the season. So I don't think they ever expected, even if the season went left, I don't think they still would have put Will Levis in. I think they wanted to hold him back. But be as it may, he got injured. Offensive line was bad. I don't think there was any real plan for Will Levis once he got in the game. It was like, all right, let's just see how this goes. Yeah, let's use what you got, throw it down the field, and let's try to make some plays here.
I I also think it's a funny bit. I love it. I think, I'm intrigued by. I want to know what some of the other teams were because I didn't read the whole article. But the "we're just fooling around" I think is inaccurate, and you guys tell me if you disagree, because I think a prerequisite of the job, whether or not Will Levis is the real deal, I think Amy Adams Strunk started the search and said, "I believe that Will Levis can be good. Let's bring in a coach that will commit to him and bring out the best in him." So to me, that doesn't quite fit the. I mean, I see what they're doing from afar, coming up with some funny thing here, but I think Brian Callahan was brought in to commit and make Will Levis the best he can be.
So some of the other categories: terrible first date, but they're giving him a second chance. The Panthers and Bryce
I
Young.
knew that
Oh boy,
one.
it was a
Yes, I knew
terrible
that
first
one,
date.
yes.
That is for sure.
Love
What is the worst first date you've been on, DMase? Did you ever have anybody ever slip out? Like, did you ever slip out on the first? You have.
Did I ever slip out?
Yeah,
No,
or-
I've never slipped out. No one's ever slipped out on me, man. Come
See-
on, man,
I
come
mean,
on.
I thought it
Yeah,
was.
really?
I
Come
just-
on, man.
I just wanted to check.
I'm messing with you, Willie.
Nick,
but
what
no.
about you? Have you ever had somebody ever give you
I'm
the
just
slip,
messing
or
with you, Willie.
did you have to dive on somebody that just wasn't working out
Yeah,
in the first date?
Yeah, there were a
Just
few
a bad
times.
vibe?
Yeah, I just had to. There was one time I did go out to dinner once, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not feeling it. Now I just paid the bill and kind of left.
Whatever
well, at least you paid
situation,
the
I
bill.
try
You
to
didn't,
make the
like-
best of it.
It wasn't
Yeah.
a big bill. It was just like an appetizer and a few drinks. I was very generous about it. I just said I had somewhere to be.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay, good line.
Good line.
Got somewhere to be.
Yeah,
So-
to pretend to get the emergency phone call. What's that? My dog got into the Cheerios.
Oh man! Now I have used that one before. Now let me say,
Okay.
I have used that one before where I had somebody, hey, listen, call me, and so I have used that where somebody called me and said, yeah, I'm tired. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I have used that one, but other than that, I have it was things I've always.
I don't
been
know
okay.
why I went with dog and Cheerios. I have a dog and I ate Cheerios for breakfast, so maybe that's where my mind went. Some other ones said I can fix him and actually fixed him. The Seahawks and Geno Smith and the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. Love triangle. The Falcons with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. Marriage counseling is working. The Cardinals and Kyler Murray. Fighting in public. The Eagles and Jalen Hurts.
Oh wow, that's pretty much accurate. Let's go back to the Will Levis thing right quick before we take this break. I do believe because Will Levis has one more year on under his contract, right? So this year, and I'm not counting this year,
And
but
next
next
year,
year is his last year. But typically, it's like if we can get something done after the season, let's get it done after the season so we don't have to worry about it going into his last year. I do truly.
Well, actually, no, this is year
He's
two.
a second round. He was a second round pick, so it's only
Right, so
3
it's a
years.
four. It's
Is
a
it
4
4
year
years
deal.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have 2 years.
They've got, they could use that next year as a gauge. They could use next year as a gauge in the still fooling around. You could still be fooling around.
Yeah, I guess you could
next year,
take it
in theory.
into next year, but typically,
That's a long hookup.
Yeah,
I'm just
typically
saying. That's a
the
long
female
hookup.
says, either we're gonna do this or we not. And if we're not, I'm walking off. So that may not last too long. I do believe this, and I could be completely wrong. Depending on how Will Levis plays this year, because a lot of it does hinge on him, this team, in their success. I do believe that if it doesn't look good, like he doesn't look good, he doesn't seem like he's consistently getting it, I think they are going to go in another direction, or they're going to think seriously about going in another direction. Because again, I go back to, especially if Richardson has a good season, CJ Stroud has another good season, and Trevor Lawrence puts a whole season together, you're talking about 3 quarterbacks within your division that are at least 3 steps ahead of him. We got to make up ground somehow, some way. I'm thinking that's what the Titans are thinking. If Will Levis doesn't show that he can consistently do this, I think there's going to be people in that front office saying we may need to look into the draft, because we know how Amy Adams is. She'll love you today, but then fire your ass tomorrow if she don't think it's going to work out. She did it to John Robinson. She did it to Mike Vrabel. So she will do it to the quarterback as well if she finds out maybe this just isn't going away. And she has every right to.
Yes.
Because everything points to that stadium.
She is a bit of a wild card.
Yeah.
She can change her mind quick.
Mike from Shelbyville on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says Xavier Legette, who I believe was drafted by the Panthers, is the bad first date's hilarious friend who is so funny that you stick around to hang out with the friend.
I guess so.
That
I've never
happened in,
experienced that.
When
no.
Harry met Sally, that happened. When they went on a double date, they were set up with each other, and then their dates ended up getting married.
Oh.
Bruno Kirby and Carrie Fisher, for those that can go back that far.
I don't.
You're not a Harry Met Sally guy?
I mean, I know I'll have what
Billy
she's
Crystal?
I know I'll have what she's having.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's
You've seen that scene.
That's
Okay.
that's the extent of it. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we will make our NFL predictions. We'll predict each division winner.
I got to get the scrolls out.
Got to get the
Gotta
scrolls out.
Mhm.
We'll predict our division winners, our wild card teams, and we'll make our Super Bowl selections as well. Coming up next, tune in to 94.9 The Fan this Saturday at 2:30 p.m. for our college football game of the week, Iowa State versus Iowa. Is that the Cy-Hawk Trophy? I believe the winner of that game gets the Cy-Hawk Trophy, presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks, home of 29-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports. Willy and DMase 102.5, 106.3 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, with Adam Bingen and Nick Frazier here with you on Thursday. The NFL regular season kicks off in just a few hours. Ravens at Chiefs Thursday night. Chiefs looking to become, if I'm not mistaken, the first three-time champion. There have been many three-time champions, but the first team to win 3 consecutive Super Bowl championships.
Right. I guess to use the term three-peat, they'd have to talk to Pat Riley.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you would have to.
Didn't he get the copyright on three-peat back in the day?
You're right.
Now, they never three-peated, but he like bought the rights.
Mm-hmm.
They won 2 in a row several times, but they never
Couldn't
three-peated.
get that third one.
But yeah, that is what the Chiefs are trying to do here.
A lot of excitement. I'm also reminded that we have a game tomorrow in Brazil with the Packers and the Eagles.
Never understood that. I still don't understand that.
Them going to Brazil or playing on Friday?
Both. I mean,
They've had a lot of success going abroad. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars are basically based in London at this point.
London and Brazil are 2 different things. And I heard the people say,
true.
well,
that is true.
Yeah, the crime rate is just about the same as it is in the U.S. city that they go to every. Well, I know where I shouldn't go and where I should go in the U.S., depending on what state I go to. You go over to another country, they don't know you. You don't know them. You don't know where to go. You could be thinking you going down the street to a Starbucks or something, and it may not be what you thought it was going to be. So I just don't understand why the NFL, I do understand it, but when they say they care about player safety, I beg to differ sometimes.
An interesting media subplot about that game, by the way. Brazil's Supreme Court has recently upheld a ban on Twitter /X. So X is not available in Brazil.
You can still use Thread, and there's another social media platform that has gotten a lot of
is it
traffic.
Blue Sky?
I think it's Blue Sky, yeah.
Either way, if you are a user of Twitter /X and you want tweets from your favorite beat writers who cover the Packers and Eagles while they're in Brazil, you're not going to get them.
No,
because you can't use X in Brazil right now.
Or you can, a VPN, but it's going to cost you $8,900. That's the fine.
$8,900.
If they catch you with a VPN and they found out a way where they can catch people who are using it within, the city or whatnot. But if you get caught, you get fined $8,900.
Is it really worth that tweet?
Is it worth it for your?
It's not.
I want those reporters to think long and hard about when they tweet. Do you need to tweet the inactives for the Green Bay Packers? Is it worth $8,900? We'll see. But tonight kicks off the NFL season. So therefore, we are here to make our predictions. And the way we're going to do it, it's pretty simple. We're going to predict the division winners and the wild card teams from each conference. And at the end, we will make our Super Bowl selections. So we will start in the NFC, and we'll just go around the table. We'll start in the NFC North. Packers, Lions, Vikings. Who am I missing?
The Bears.
The Bears, obviously. The Bears. Those are your 4 teams. We'll start with Willy. Willy, who is your NFC North champion in the 2024 NFL season?
Well, I will start it by saying I will be in the, 98.8 in the confidence meter.
It was 98.8.
With this team yesterday. The Detroit Lions, I'm on board. I don't think it was a fluke last year. They have done a tremendous job building the roster. They've made some very shrewd trades, and they have made good with some of the picks that they acquired over the years. A good young roster. Another thing we hit on was loaded with talent, 24 and under. Guys in their prime who are only going to get better. I'm all in on the Lions.
Derek?
All I'm going to say is, what up, Joe? If you know what that means, you know who I'm picking. Like Willie said, I mean, this team, from the head coach on down, he brought in a style of play, a brand of play, an attitude, a personality, and the team takes on the personality of their coach. They're physical. They can score points on anybody. They had some additions to their defense. They got one of the best receivers in the National Football League, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Couple him with Jameson Williams, who they are really high on now. They say he's matured a lot. So this team is poised. They were a drop ball away, seriously, a drop ball away from advancing to the Super Bowl last year. That last drive, they had too many drop passes, especially one on, I think it was 3rd or 4th down. And then the head coach didn't help him either with the bonehead call he made, in the game. But this team has everything that you need to win a championship. And it starts with the quarterback, but then they've upgraded their defense. So I'm picking the Detroit Lions.
In the interest of diversifying our selections, I am taking the Packers to win the NFC North. Perhaps I'm drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit too much, but I like what I saw from the Packers
love the Kool-Aid.
I liked what I saw from the Packers at the end of last season. Jordan Love got paid. I'm going to go with the Packers. I'm going to take the Packers to upend the Detroit Lions and win the NFC North. Moving on to the NFC South. My precious NFC South. Man, it stinks. The Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Carolina Panthers, and New Orleans Saints. Man, that division is rough. But someone has to win. And I'm taking, I would assume, the most popular choice. I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons to win the NFC South. They have an actual quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Hopefully, the new coaching staff will realize that they have a dynamic player in the backfield in Bijan Robinson that Arthur Smith, for whatever reason, did not trust enough to give him the ball as much as he probably should have. You have Kyle Pitts. You have Drake London. They added Matthew Judon recently to bolster the pass rush. Someone has to come out of this division. It's a bad division. And I'm going to say that the moves that the Falcons made in the offseason will put them over the top. I have the Falcons winning the NFC South.
I'm going to counter and say BUCCANEERS. Go Bucks. They used to play that all the time at the big sombrero when I was growing up. And I will give you a quote from FTN Football Almanac. The Kings of the Junkyard look to get a seat at the big boy table. They have the reclamation project. How did they describe Baker Mayfield in the Ringer?
I believe it was, I can fix him, but actually fixing him.
Baker Mayfield is found his groove. That's his spot. He's the leader. They've done a really good job making the most of the post-Tom Brady era where they loaded up like the Rams did, right, with all the veterans that they tried to win in the short term, and they're surprisingly good in a bad division. So I'm going Bucks.
I'm with you, Willie. I'm going to Bucks. I know that Atlanta is much improved with Kirk Cousins underneath center, but Kirk Cousins couldn't make it work in Minnesota with the best receiver in the National Football League. What makes me think he's going to be able to make it work there in Atlanta? I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team, but them seating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the winners of that division, I think it's going to fall short. I like what Baker Mayfield has done since he's been there. I've always been a big Baker fan. And when you can return both of your right receivers, and both were 1,000-yard guys, Mike Evans and Godwin, I think you always give your team a chance. You've upgraded, you got your defense, you've upgraded that. I just think this team will once again repeat. It's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to them in Atlanta, but I think they will, take the division narrowly from Atlanta. So I'm picking the Bucks.
So far in the NFC North, I have the Packers. You two have the Lions. In the NFC South, I have the Falcons. You both have the Buccaneers. Let's move on to the NFC East. Here's a fun fact for you. A team has not won back-to-back NFC East championships since 2004. It has been 20 years since
That's
a team
incredible.
has won repeat division titles. The Eagles won 4 in a row between 2001 and 2004. Since then, there has not been a repeat NFC East champion. This division, quite frankly, I do not like the Cowboys or the Eagles. I think both teams have issues. But I'm going to give the slight edge to the Dallas Cowboys, who become the first NFC East repeat champion in 20 years. I have the Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East.
I will counter and say I am going to go the other way and say the Eagles will pull it out. I love the analogy of arguing in public, right? That is, I think, the biggest thing about the Eagles is they have to remember what it was like before they got absolutely trashed. Everything, they were inches, I shouldn't say inches, one play maybe away from winning the Super Bowl. Then 10-1 last year. And then everything changed after that. But I think they have to try to remind themselves of what they can be. They still have the pieces to do it. I am a little worried about changing the offense because that offense was, man, that was fun to watch when they were in the groove. Everybody was on the same page. And can Jalen Hurts switch and do well in the Kellen Moore offense? I'm going to say enough to win the division. I will take the Eagles.
Man, it's tough for me because I look at both the Eagles and the Cowboys. Now, Washington and why am I forgetting the other team?
The New York Giants.
Yeah, the Giants.
G-Man.
The Giants with Daniels at quarterback, and they lost Saquon. I'm not sure they're going to win no more than 6 games. The Washington Commanders, they got their own stuff they got to deal with. So much so they're even dealing with it from people that are not even on the team. You're talking about upper management people that are saying things in public, on dates that they shouldn't have said. And now he's gotten his ass fired. But that's just the Commanders. That's their organization.
They're not doing a great job of changing their reputation from the previous ownership.
So their reputation precedes itself.
It takes multiple years to get that Dan Snyder stink out of that building. I'm just
this guy didn't get the memo.
Yeah, he didn't get the memo.
As a former resident of the greater DC metropolitan area, it's going to take many years to get the full Dan Snyder stink out of that building.
Yeah, I guess that guy didn't get the memo. So much so that he got his butt fired for some things he said on a date. But I'm looking at the Cowboys. I still don't believe the Cowboys got enough beef in the middle of the defense to stop anyone. They couldn't stop anyone last year, really, from running the football. I think Michael Parsons is a hell of a talent, but he's good at rushing the passer. He's not as exceptional as stopping the run. That defense isn't as good at stopping the run. And they haven't done anything to sort of plug holes. Their first-round draft pick last year didn't give them much, and he was supposed to be a guy that was supposed to fortify the middle of the defense, and it didn't happen. So it doesn't seem like they added much to that roster. So I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles. They went out and they added to their roster. They changed, what they were doing from an offensive standpoint. So I just look for this team to avenge that second half of the season because they started off like game busters, 10-1, and then for whatever reason it just fell off the rails. But I do expect them to come back and be a much better team. So I'm thinking Philadelphia.
So far it's me versus the two of you. I think you two have had the same pick so far, and I've had different picks from the two of you. So who's smart and who's not? Quickly, we'll run.
DMase, we're going down together.
Yes.
Quickly, we'll run through the NFC West and the wild card teams. In the NFC West, I have the San Francisco 49ers. It's their division until otherwise proven. My 3 wild card selections. Wild card 1, I have the Detroit Lions. Wild card 2, I have the Los Angeles Rams as wild card 2. And in wild card 3, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I strongly considered putting the Bears in this spot and predicting the Eagles to miss the playoffs, but I thought maybe Caleb Williams and company are not quite ready for prime time. So I have the Eagles as wild card 3. So the Niners winning the West, Detroit wild card 1, Los Angeles Rams wild card 2, Philadelphia wild card 3.
I'm scribbling down on the scrolls to get it all down. That was a mouthful. That was good. I am taking the 49ers in the West. I'm concerned that they had so many things that they were kind of like, well, we'll figure it out right before the season starts. We'll have the hold in, we'll have the Ayuk thing, and once we get them back in there, we'll be fine. I'm a little concerned about that, but they just have such a good roster right now. They should win. And so I know it's kind of a sexy pick to take the Rams because they have been surprisingly good. I don't think they can challenge the 49ers. I've got the 49ers winning the division. I will take the Packers. Here's what I cannot come up with is who is that unexpected team that's going to get in there. There's going to be one, and I don't like the fact that I'm leaning towards teams that are kind of always in there. So I will take a flyer, and I went down hard with this last year, but I'm going to go with the G-Men. I think the Giants are going to surprise, sneak into the wild card, and I will go with the Rams as well as my 3 wild card teams. Packers, Giants, Rams.
All right. Well, in the NFC West, I think I'm going to break from the both of you.
Ooh.
I just look at the San Francisco 49ers as our modern day Buffalo Bills. This truly may be their last chance to win a championship because everybody is either getting older or things are just going to start catching up with them from a money standpoint. And they got to eventually pay their quarterback. So they're going to have to make some changes somewhere in order to keep at least a portion of that team together. So with that being said, I like Seattle. I think last year they just had a lot of problems from a defensive standpoint. It didn't come together offensively like they wanted it to. I think they got one of the best trio wide receivers in Metcalf, Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Their running back is a hell of a back, and Kenneth Walker Jr. Kenneth Walker III. If their defense can hold up and play like they did 2 years ago, then
and they got the guy from the Ravens to come in and try to put that.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be more of an aggressive defense. They're going to play some man. They got the corners to play it. I think this is going to be a surprising team. I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks to win the
AFC,
like it. AFC West. My 3 wildcard teams. First, I'm going with San Francisco. I think San Francisco will be the runner-up to Seattle. They will make the playoffs. I am looking at the Dallas Cowboys to have the number 2 spot in the wild card. And then the 3rd spot, I am picking the Green Bay Packers.
Interesting choices. I think Willy's take on the Giants is a bit spicier than Derek's on the Seahawks.
But to say they're going to win that division that's pretty spicy.
That is pretty spicy. Those are our NFC predictions for this season. Coming up next, we'll get to the AFC. On the other side, Adam Vingan, Willy Donick, Derek Mason.
It is football day. It is back, people. Happy Thursday. Tonight, we have the Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, and they're going for a 3-peat, which starts tonight. Hey, and what better way to bet on the big games than to do it on Zen Sports, okay? The new sports book in Tennessee that's bringing sports betting to a whole new level, and I mean that literally, people. When you sign up for Zen Sports, you'll automatically earn up to $100 no danger first wager. If your first bet loses, you will be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to $100. And for football season, Zen Sports is launching a revamped betting platform for both college football and the NFL. And what's better? With our new look, Zen Sports will offer daily promotions, including odd boost, same game parlays, no danger first wagers, and much more. That Zen Sports also offers a one-of-a-kind VIP program. If you qualify, you'll earn monthly comps at sporting events, concerts, and even sportbook bonuses. The VIP program is by invite only, people. So if you feel that your Zen Sports play qualifies for the VIP consideration, check out the program details and apply at zensports.com/VIP. So what are you waiting for, football fans? Start betting with Zen Sports, where you will receive true odds on all parlays and an enhanced user experience for all. Get going and download their app at zensports.com today. That's Zen Sports, where betting just got better. And remember this, gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Willy and DMase, 1025, 1063, The Game. Adam Bingen, Willy Donick, Derek Mason. We just made our NFC division and wild card winner predictions. The spiciest takes. Derek picking the Seattle Seahawks to win the NFC West, and Willy Donick picking the Giants to actually make the playoffs. Those were the spiciest NFC takes we had.
Is it spicy if you believe it?
Well,
I mean, I think
I'm having regrets. I'm having pangs of regret.
Oh wow!
During the break, but here's a great stat for Daniel Jones. He tore his ACL last October, right? So in the games that he played leading up to the injury, he did not throw a single pass in 2023 with his team in the lead.
Oh wow!
He threw 18 passes with the score tied, usually 0-0. And 142 passes came when the Giants were behind.
Oh, wow.
So they need to do a better job of
I
putting
like
him in a
those.
better position to succeed. But imagine going through an entire season, not once do you throw the ball with your team in the lead.
Something tells me that might not change that much this year.
Well, we'll see.
But we will see.
I got him in the playoffs.
Got Malik Neighbors. That's their
They do
best
have
one.
Malik Neighbors.
I'm hoping will help.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the AFC, which has been ruled by the Kansas City Chiefs these past few years. Actually, longer than that, but they are the two-time defending Super Bowl champions. So we'll do it in the same order. We'll start in the AFC North. Bengals, Browns, Steelers, Ravens. We've talked about this quite a bit when it comes to the Titans. At least one team has gone from worst to first in 19 of the 21 seasons since the NFL went to its current alignment of 8 divisions with 4 teams each. In 2002, in my opinion, the likeliest team to do that, the Cincinnati Bengals. A healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase is back at practice. Who knows if he'll play on Sunday? They're playing the Patriots. But if they get a contract done, he'll be on the field. It's almost inevitable that a team that finished last in their division the previous season will end up in first place the following year. And I think that'll be the Cincinnati Bengals. So I have the Bengals winning the AFC North.
This one is easy for me. Even though it's a very difficult division, I am going with the Ravens, and I think they're just a team that's going to be in the mix every year. They put their stuff out there, and they say, if you can beat us, you're going to have to play pretty well to beat us. And more often than not, they're going to come away with their share. I considered the Bengals, but I just think they're a little they don't quite have the layers to be able to beat you the way the Ravens do. So I'm leaning towards the Ravens, and I will take them to win the division.
The old black and blue division. This has been the most competitive division, I would believe, over the last 10 years. Not the AFC East, not the AFC South. The AFC West has been close, but in recent years, Kansas City has ran with that division over the last, 5-6 years. But the AFC North has been sort of back and forth. With good teams, not back and forth because the conference is bad. And it's going to be that way this year. I think all 4 teams will put themselves in a position to potentially qualify for the playoffs heading into the last few weeks of the season. But I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens. I just think with the addition of Derrick Henry, now they will not have to lean so much, especially during the latter part of the year, lean so much on Jackson to be their passer and their runner, even though they've been, the backs that they have been really good backs, but no one's a Derrick Henry. He's a different type of player at that position. So with the additions that they made, I know they lost Denard Wilson. I know they lost their defensive coordinator, McDonald, who's at Seattle now as their head coach. But I just think I believe in what Coach Harbaugh has done up until this point, and nothing tells me that this team is going to take a step back. So I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens to win this division.
Moving on to the division we care about most here in Nashville, the AFC South. Titans, Texans, Jaguars, Colts. I expect the Houston Texans to take a slight step back, but I don't think any of the other teams are going to take enough steps forward to prevent the Houston Texans from winning the AFC South. I like the additions they made in the offseason. I think that's a very good team, a well-coached team. I have the Houston Texans winning the AFC South again.
I'm with you that the Texans, I think, will take a slight step back. Some growing pains. I think they're moving in the right direction long term. But I think the Jaguars will have the bounce back and get the good year from Trevor Lawrence that they need to win the division. I just think it took a lot for them to blow it last year, and he was really hobbled with a lot of different issues physically. I think he's due to have a bounce back. I'm going to go with the Jaguars.
I'm looking at the Houston Texans, and I'm looking at the last half of their season, the last 8 games. It could be 9. Let me see. 9, 8 games. The Lions, Cowboys, Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens, and sprinkled in there is the Titans and the Jaguars. But even before the Lions, you got the Jets. they got a daunting schedule. They really do. And can the rookie phenom come back in his sophomore year and play even better? I think this team takes a step back, but again, I'm like Adam. I don't think the teams behind them take enough step forward to win the division. So I'm picking the Houston Texans to win the division.
Moving on to the AFC East, ruled with an iron fist by the New England Patriots for years and years and years. No longer the case. The Patriots, the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins. Yes, I know that the Jets are in a toxic relationship with an older man named Aaron Rodgers. We saw him play, 5 snaps last season before he tore his Achilles. If I'm also not mistaken, he's the oldest active player in the NFL. But that defense, man, that's a great defense. And I am a big believer in Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is a fabulous back. I have the New York Jets doing what many people thought they would do last season before Aaron Rodgers went down. I have the New York Jets winning the AFC East. Woo. And that would be, I believe, the first time they've made the playoffs in like 13 years, 12, 13 years.
I'm thinking 2012-ish, right? The Sanchez and Rex Ryan and that group.
Yes. I believe the Jets, Willie, I think you'll appreciate this. I believe the Jets are tied with the Buffalo Sabres for the longest active postseason drought in North American major professional sports.
Oh,
I have the New York Jets breaking that streak and winning the AFC East.
This is the toughest one for me, and it's going to get even tougher when we get into the wild card stuff, because this is a division along with the North that there's too many solid teams in there, and they can't mathematically all make the playoffs. But I am going to go with the Bills in a last hurrah, and this is the stat that I keep leaning on with the Bills, and that is, I forget how many games it's been, 30 or 36 games. I think it's 30. That every game that they have not been beaten by more than 6 points in several seasons. I forget the number of games it's been, but it's 30 to 35 games. So they're in every game. And when you're in every game, sometimes the ball bounces your way. Remember how down and out they looked last year, and they fixed a lot of stuff. And so I think the Bills will be just good enough to win a very, very tough division, because I'm with you. I think the Jets are better. They're going to be in the mix, but I still am taking the old standby, the Bills.
Man, this is going to be tough, because I look at Buffalo, and now we're going to see if Josh Allen is that elite quarterback that everybody claims he is, because he no longer has Gabe Davis, nor does he have Stephon Diggs. And they've changed some things in regards to their defense. Their safeties are gone. They lost a few corners. I just look at that receiving core, Coleman, Samuel, and Shakir. These guys, I mean, you don't have a proven bunch. Even though I like the young kid Coleman, you still don't have a proven bunch here. So who's he going to throw the ball to? He's going to have to divert or revert to handing the ball off to James Cook, who is a returning 1,000-yard back. So at least they have that much going for them. I don't think their defense is going to be able to win consistently enough for them to allow them to then win the division, division. So I am picking. I like the Dolphins and what they have done, the additions that they've made. But I want to take the Jets. I just don't think they have enough offensively, and I don't know if the quarterback's going to hold up the whole season. I'm taking Miami. I think this is the year that they get over that hump and they finally win a game in Buffalo when it's cold, or they finally win a game in the cold weather that allows them to win their division. So I'm picking the Miami Dolphins and Tua.
So I believe this is the first time that we have each selected a different team.
Yes.
To win a division. I have the Jets, Willie has the Bills, and Derek has the Dolphins. We'll go through these last four quickly. Can we all agree that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the AFC West? Are we all in agreement there?
Yes. For me,
I am taking the Chiefs. Derek is considering.
I want to make it interesting, man.
You're
It's
considering
like,
taking the
you know what?
Chargers, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I am
Okay.
considering,
Really?
and only one reason, because of Harbaugh. As much as I hated him when he was in Michigan, he is a damn good football coach. Damn good coach. I think the only coach that's better than him is Andy Reid in the AFC. That's just me. I'm going with, if the Chargers can stay healthy, Herbert, he has to show something. He has to. Like, he has to show that he can be an elite quarterback. He's a damn good quarterback, but he hasn't shown he can be elite. I think with under Harbaugh, he's going to condense some things. He's going to get back to playing the brand of football he knows how to play, and it's winning football no matter where he's went. He's taken that brand of football, and he's won, and ultimately has won a championship, whether it be in college with Michigan or he got to the Super Bowl with San Fran. I'm picking the Chargers to win this division.
Interesting.
DMase has gone off the rails.
DMase has gone off the rails.
This is the, what did you call it? The spiciest? That's the spiciest pick. Of
Yes, absolutely. That overtakes the Seahawks winning the NFC West. Quickly through our wild card teams. For me, wild card 1, the Baltimore Ravens. I have the Bengals winning the AFC North. I have the Ravens finishing in wild card 1. In wild card 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. And I agree with Derek on the Harbaugh factor, which is why I have the Chargers finishing as the wild card 3, which means I have the Miami Dolphins missing the playoffs. I think that team is going to regress offensively, and I'm not sure how good their defense is to mitigate that. So I have the Miami Dolphins missing the postseason, and the Chargers under Jim Harbaugh, making the playoffs as wild card 3.
I am taking the Dolphins as wild card 1, the Bengals wild card 2, and I will go with the Jets to break the drought and slide in there. I think it's going to be an up and down season for Aaron Rodgers. He might miss some games, but as long as he's around enough, and maybe Tyrod Taylor is good enough to bridge the gap and get him a win or two as a backup, I think they can sneak in to the last spot. So, you know, whoever you go with in the AFC, this is the thing about it. You're going to leave
some good teams
some
out.
Teams that potentially could be really good out, like the Browns and the Steelers. And, you know, you can go right down the list. The Chargers, okay, you guys have got me. You guys both had them in the playoffs. I was like, wait a minute, what am I missing here?
But I had them sneaking into the final wild card spot.
I have them winning the AFC West.
So either the point is, it's a pretty deep conference, which is what's making it tough for the Titans in a rebound kind of thing. So DMase, who you got?
I am picking the Chiefs first to be that first wild card team, and then I think the AFC North will do it again. They will get 3 teams in. They got 2 in last year. So I think they get obviously I picked Baltimore to win the North. I think Cincinnati gets in, and I don't want to count Mike Tomlin out. I really don't. But this is the first time I'm not going to count on Tomlin. I'm picking the Buffalo Bills to make it. Matter of fact, erase that. I'm picking the Jets to make it. I think Buffalo's
out.
Yeah, Buffalo's out.
So who are your 3 wild card teams?
So my 3 wild card teams are Kansas City, Cincinnati,
and Buffalo.
In Buffalo.
And
no, the Jets. Kansas City, Cincinnati, and the Jets.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Buffalo out.
And you were right. Last year there were 3 teams that made it from
Was it 3?
AFC North, because the Steelers snuck in thanks to
Mason Rudolph. Hopefully Joe
Jared's
Rexrode is
favorite quarterback.
No, thanks to the game at the that was Cincinnati in Baltimore, where the only thing they had to do was score a touchdown, and they win the game.
And of course, Joe Flacco rallied the Browns last year, and none of us think the Browns will get back in there. They're bringing something to the table. We know that.
Yeah.
So this is another team that none of us picked that I could see the Browns having a good year.
I mean, the Browns could mess it up for other teams. I'm not saying they can't. I think they have a loaded defense, but everything is predicated on Deshaun Watson. And based upon what I've seen the last 2 years, I'm not putting my money on Watson, even though I think he is still a good quarterback. I just don't trust him enough to say that, he can beat, Cincinnati or Pittsburgh or Baltimore at least twice, because that's what's going to have to happen. One of these teams or two of these teams are going to have to steal 2 games from somebody in order to win this division.
Coming up next, we'll make our Super Bowl selections to wrap up the show. Adam Bingen, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Willie and DMase final segment, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. That music always gets me jazzed up. Ravens Chiefs tonight to kick off the NFL season. We've made our NFC and AFC predictions. It's time for our Super Bowl predictions. Willie, why don't you do the honors and give us your Super Bowl matchup and your Super Bowl champion?
Okay, I have Harbaugh Bowl 2. But just with one of the Harbaughs then coaching a different team. But it'll be Niners over the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Back in the day, remember the 2 Harbaughs played when Jim Harbaugh was coaching the Niners, and that was quite the Super Bowl, the one where they had the blackout in the middle of the game. They had to sit for 30 minutes or something. But look, I'm riding the wave. I think this is going to end well for the Niners. Everything changes next year, but I think they've got the deepest, best roster with a quarterback that's making an ungodly amount less than your average quarterback, which gives you an enormous advantage in this day and age. When you get premier play from a guy that is making as little as Brock Purdy made, you've got to take advantage of it. So I think the Niners over the Ravens, and I do think there will be great moments for Lamar Jackson in the playoffs this year to get his team to the Super Bowl, but they're going to come up short to the Niners.
Derek?
Oh, boy. In the NFC, what up, Joe? Going with the Lions. Going with the Lions. They were, they were a drop ball, a series away from, upsetting San Fran and winning that game. So I'm picking the Detroit Lions. Again, I like what they've done with their roster. They've upgraded it both offensively and defensively. And they're just playing with an attitude that's reminiscent of their head coach. So I'm picking the Lions. In the NFC, AFC, it's going to be tough. But with the addition of Derrick Henry, I think that's going to be the X factor. It's supposed to be the quarterback, I understand. But I think in this case, because who they're going to be playing, they're going to have to keep him on the bench some portion of the playoff. I don't know if it's going to be an AFC championship game or in the divisional rounds. But I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. So I got the Lions and the Ravens.
And who wins?
Oh, man. I'm picking the Ravens. As much as I would love to see my beloved Detroit Lions finally, since the 1950s, I think that's the last time they won a Super Bowl. And I don't even think it was considered a Super Bowl back then, early on. I want to pick the Lions. Oh, man, you know what? I'm going with the Lions. I'm gonna pick the Lions to win the Super Bowl.
Well, I circled the.
I know, Willie. I'm sorry, Willie. Willie, I'm sorry, man.
What
in this one, card laid is not a card played.
Okay.
So I can pick it back up as long as I don't show it. But yes,
that's a false start.
I'm picking the Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl.
You hear that, Joe Rexroad?
Detroit Lions.
Now, what Rexroad has been saying that the Lions are going to miss the playoffs?
Rexroad is just inherent.
He's just a cynic.
He's an inherently
scarred,
pessimistic Detroit sports fan.
He's been hurt so many times.
Yes,
I can see. I know. He's got bag. Like he feels it.
What does he mean? He's been hurt too many times. We haven't even been in a position like this to hurt anybody.
That's a good point.
Exactly. So why has he been hurt?
I think it's going to be okay. I think they're going to be all right.
So if I have this right, neither of you have picked the Chiefs to three-peat. I hope I'm not going to be charged for that.
No,
by Pat Riley.
I think they're going to hit the wall. Somebody's going to beat them in the playoffs. In fact, I don't even know if they'll get back to the championship game, because that is just as impressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only have they won the last two, but they've been to how many straight? 6 straight AFC championship games, something like that.
Wow.
The last time they didn't make it was when the Titans beat them before Mahomes, because hasn't Mahomes made it to the championship game every year?
Yeah,
that he's played,
with the exception of the year the Titans beat him.
Yeah, and that was Mahomes' rookie year where he wasn't the starter. It was
they lost to that was Smith. They lost to New England, but that was Alex Smith too. Remember the offsides by the linebacker?
Yeah, no, that was Mahomes. Yeah, that was the
year?
AFC championship. Yeah,
that was Mahomes' year, right?
That was Mahomes.
They lost to New England.
Yeah.
So that's the only time he's lost in the AFC Championship game, because they lost.
They lost to the Bengals and Burrow.
Yeah, that was the AFC Championship game.
But they've been to the Super Bowl the 3 times, and so it's amazing. So I think that streak is in jeopardy here. I just think they're not quite as deep as they've been.
Not for me, it's not.
Oh,
I am picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl for the 3rd consecutive year. Man, that team looked like it was down and out late in the regular season. But Patrick Mahomes took a group of unheralded pass catchers and dragged them to a Super Bowl. And I just have a hard time imagining at this point people beating Patrick Mahomes when it counts. So I, in fact, do have the Chiefs winning a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl against, I did consider saying the Lions to hedge my bets with picking the Packers winning the NFC North, but I'm going to go all in. And I'm going to say the Chiefs defeat the Green Bay Packers. I hope Robbie Stanley is listening. The Chiefs defeating the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl 3 in a row. And at that moment, Travis Kelce will get down on one knee at midfield. He will propose to Taylor Swift. Confetti will already be raining down. And we'll all celebrate the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl for the 3rd year in a row.
So would that make, because it would ultimately, inevitably be the greatest conversation in the offseason. Has Andy Reid supplanted Bill Belichick as the greatest coach in NFL history? Because
if that happens,
he's
yes,
no other coach has three-peated.
But Bill Belichick is on the sidelines right now. He's doing every media job known to man.
Yeah.
Andy Reid is still coaching.
So that would be what, 4 championships for Andy Reid as a head coach, or 3?
He never won one in
4.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, he didn't win one in Philly.
He
He
never
went
won in
to the
Philadelphia.
Super Bowl.
But that would, but this would be his 4th with the Chiefs.
Yeah, it would be his 4th. Yeah. So would y'all say if they win the 3rd championship in a row,
and 4th overall,
and 4th overall, does he supplant Bill Belichick as the greatest coach in NFL history?
That is a good question, because Belichick, his success was, it was over a greater span of time.
20-year span with the New England Patriots.
Yeah, it's
a hell of a span.
I think for the
an
first
interesting
time
question.
it would be a debate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we will see Ravens Chiefs tonight. Looking forward to it. I can't wait to get home and watch that game.
What time is it tonight? 7:30?
Who knows? What time is the game tonight?
What,
I'm just going to be staring at my TV for the next 4 hours until it turns on.
I believe coverage starts around 6:30.
Okay, I'm sure there'll be 8 hours of pregame. It's probably already started. Enjoy NFL kickoff. We'll break it down, as well as the Titans and Bears in week 1 tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Be loved on your people. Have a wonderful and blessed Thursday. Peace.
Every boy and every girl. Closing time. One last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey.